All right, guys, welcome to Press X Podcast, episode 96. Thank you all so much for being here with me and waiting patiently. As always, we give I say this every week because I assume that each week there are at least a few new people showing up to the podcast. So at the beginning of each podcast, I do a credits roll for all of my channel members for about 4 to 5 minutes, give people time to kind of file in and, don't want to miss these amazing intros. But yeah, thank you guys so much for being here. We have already, wow, almost 350 people here at the very start of the podcast. Seriously, thank you guys so much for that. If you could do me a big favor, if you're here right now watching live, or if you are somebody who, decides to watch this later, maybe it's more convenient for you, just take a second of your time, hit that like button for me. It really does help the podcast out. Maybe I can let you know that last week we had pretty good viewership here, and a lot of you guys hit that like button. We got more likes on that podcast than we normally do, and we also ended up getting more views on that podcast than we normally do, because as I always tell you, the YouTube algorithm looks for that stuff. That's why people ask for it. So right off the bat, we have a super chat from PlayStation Pete. I assume he's yelling this from the rooftops, saying Horizon Game of the Year. And that's something we're definitely going to talk about today, because the review embargo for Horizon Forbidden West is lifting tomorrow, and it's pretty exciting. I don't care too much about reviews, but it feels difficult not to pay some attention to them, you know what I mean? Especially for a big release like Horizon Forbidden West. I think pretty much everybody who cares about this type of stuff, like who cares about PlayStation and, their games, I think everybody to an extent is kind of interested to see, how's it going to review? Is it going to live up to the hype, right? You see people putting out their predictions for Horizon Forbidden West, and the Metacritic score, I've seen people say it's going to get like an 88. I've seen people say it's going to get like a 94. And I'm like, well, you look at those ranges, and one thing it tells you for sure is that the expectation for Horizon Forbidden West is very, very high. And I think it's going to live up to that expectation. I'm going to talk more about that a little bit later. But that's one of the reasons why I wanted to kind of position this podcast with the title PlayStation is on fire. I really thought about maybe saving this title for next week, but I decided to go with it this week, or for this episode of the podcast, because next week, we'll probably be talking extensively about Horizon. I think Horizon drops on, let me make sure it's the 13th now. So it's dropping on Friday. I'm going to try my best to play as much as I can before, next Sunday's podcast, so I can kind of give you guys my thoughts on it and whatnot. But yeah, we are very close. It's crazy. Like, I feel like we've been waiting for so long, and it's like just right there. We're right on the cusp. Zay Very Rare, member for 4 months. Thank you, buddy. You're saying, good morning, MBG. I hope your morning is going well so far. Allow me to start this podcast off with some positive vibes. Sifu is a solid game. Absolutely. That is, I got to tell you, if you sense a little bit more excitement than normal, than that's normally there in my voice, well, I did have 2 cups of coffee, but it's also because I've been playing a lot of Sifu, and I have a lot to say about this game. Some people were kind of telling me, like, MBG, you got to chill out, man. The game's not that good. It's not that amazing and whatever. And I'm like, I don't care, man. I got to say what I got to say about this game because I am loving it. And no, I'm not just loving it because it's a PlayStation console exclusive. Believe me when I tell you, if Sifu was an Xbox exclusive, you better believe I'd have an Xbox up right now, and I would absolutely be playing that game. It's amazing. We have Green Al Gill saying, are you going to discuss the Sony Direct and Xbox Direct talk and whatnot? To be totally honest, Green Al Gill, I'm not sure what you're referring to. Sony Direct, Xbox Direct, I don't know what this is. Is there something I missed? If so, please let me know. I'm usually pretty good at keeping up with this type of stuff, so I'm really Phil Spender in the chat says, MBG, you were terrible at Sifu in that live stream. Bro, give me a break, man. That was my first time. Well, I think by the time I streamed that, I had about an hour and a half of gameplay total. So give me a break, man. The game's tough. If it makes you feel any better, Phil Spender, I've gotten a lot better. I've really got, no, I'm not still on level 2. I'll talk all about it. Don't worry. But just know I've gotten a lot better. Zanarkhan Blitzer. Thank you so much, buddy. You're saying part 1 codec call 140.85 Snake. Colonel, I overheard guards talking about a Metal Gear Solid 1 remake. Colonel says, we're still yet to confirm the intel, but yes, we believe it's true. It'll also be available in VR. Yeah, dude, we're going to talk about that, man. Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to talk about this Metal Gear Solid 1 remake rumor that popped up because I want to dream. I want to dream. I want it to be true. I want my dreams to come true. And then you say here, part 2, Snake says, Raiden, he'll love that mode. Snake, achoo, guard, huh? What was that noise? Whose footprints are these? Game over. Colonel Snake, respond. Snake, can't wait, MBG. Yeah, dude. You know, I do want to say, if there is a Metal Gear Solid 1 remake in the works and it's real, absolutely they need to make sure that David Hayter, I mean, they need to make sure that the original voice cast is there. I would say maybe they can just use the voiceovers that were used for the Twin Snakes remake. But somebody's saying, I got to check my Twitter right now. VIP3 are saying, check your mentions on Twitter. Some inside news. Let's check. I hope you're not trolling me, bro, because I'm live right now. Check my mentions. What? I think Twitter's broken for me right now, man. My mentions are showing nothing. My mentions are showing nothing for some reason. What I recommend people do is, if you're trying to send me something while I'm live during the podcast, your best bet would be to like post it underneath my my tweet of the actual podcast itself, so I can just easily check it really quick there. So if there's something you want to send me, man, that you think is important or worth seeing, just post it under there, and I'll try to go check it out. Okay, now my mentions are working. Somebody's showing off, I don't know if this is what you're talking about, but Horizon Forbidden West, a trailer being shown in Times Square. Yeah, dude, I was at the gym. And, they have TVs all over the gym, which I try not to look at because I feel like they're just distractions. But I saw... Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of PlayStation ads, and I did see the Horizon ad, and I'm like, damn. Like, they're really, they're putting it out there, man. They want people to know, like, hey, Horizon Forbidden West is dropping. So thank you guys for the immediate support you're showing the podcast right up front. Just a few things to note here before we dive into these topics, because we do have a lot to talk about today, some really interesting stuff. I want to let you know that a couple ways you can help support the podcast really easily. Like I said, hitting the like button helps. Just watching the content, watching the podcast, and interacting with the content helps tremendously as well. If you want to go above and beyond, you can become a channel member. I have 3 different tiers. My channel memberships are simply here for you to show extra support. If you're somebody who really likes my channel, my content, and what I do here, and you want to support it on a monthly basis, choosing from the 3 different tiers, that's an option for you. And if you tune into the live streams, as you can see by some people, what they're doing here already, you can donate super chats. All of these things go a long way in not only supporting my content directly, but keeping things flowing here on the channel. So again, a sincere thank you to everybody who does that. We have Perfect Image saying, with Sony's $10 billion left, what would Sony buy financially? Because I'm thinking Capcom and Square Enix. It's interesting. I've seen a couple of people on Twitter, and the thing is, when I'm on Twitter, I notice that I get these random tweets that pop up from people that I don't follow, and just from like areas, within Twitter that I don't really pay attention to, but they pop up sometimes, and I guess it's just Twitter like recommending things that I might be interested in. And I just saw that somebody was talking, and I don't know who this person is, and I'm pretty sure they're not an insider. Look, I see this stuff all the time, people claiming this, people claiming that. But I've seen at least a couple of people saying or alluding to the idea that Sony is looking to acquire CD Projekt Red, and that is so conflicting to me. Like that is just such a conflicting notion in my head. Like if that were to be true, I really wouldn't know how I'd feel about that. I mean, I feel like I'd want to be excited and like, yeah, that's cool. But at the same time, like after what happened with Cyberpunk, I'm like, I feel like that would be a weird look for Sony is what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean? Because Sony is all about like quality, finished products, refined products. And Sony also took Cyberpunk off of the PlayStation Store for like the longest period of time. They like made history. And so I'm like, that's pretty weird. You know, that would be a pretty weird acquisition. I feel like the best way Sony, maybe this sounds kind of funny to people, but I feel like the best way Sony could position that, it would be kind of a backhand to CD Projekt Red, their new studio, if they acquired them, would be, hey guys, you can be excited about this because we're going to ensure that they never release a broken game again, right? But if I'm not mistaken, I think CD Projekt Red made it clear that they want their independence. They're not planning on being acquired ever. So I don't believe that. But if it were to happen, I do want to add this final note. I wouldn't be that shocked, only because I'd be like, one area like Sony acquiring CD Projekt Red potentially, one reason this makes sense is because, well, we know that Microsoft intends to make Bethesda games exclusive, and there's a lot of RPGs there. This would be a way for Sony to basically secure, like, hey, we're going to have some of the hopefully best RPGs ever, Witcher, Cyberpunk, and whatever else they make in the future. So I could kind of see it in that sense, kind of filling a void that PlayStation currently has, excuse me. So that was a really weird thing my throat just did there. But Konami and From Software. But to be honest, Perfect Image, we've been talking a lot. We've been talking a lot about potential acquisitions, what Sony may end up wanting to do next, what they're likely to do next. I think the best thing I could say at this point is nobody knows. I have to say that. I really feel like I had to say that. Yeah, dude, I don't know what just went on with my throat there. That was really weird. I think I almost just like choked on my own spit. I hate it when that happens. But yeah, I think it's just best to simply say, look, no one really knows. Whatever Sony's next announcement is for acquisitions, it seems to me like it could be anything. It could be, hey, we've acquired Square Enix. It could be, hey, we've acquired Kadokawa. Now we own From Software. It could be we're partnering with this studio. It could be we're, announcing a brand new studio that we built from the ground up. It could be, hey, we just acquired Ember Lab or Slow Clap. It could go in so many different directions, because I'll tell you right now, I had no inclination whatsoever that Sony was going after Bungie. I mean, nobody did. In fact, the day before we found out that Sony acquired Bungie, I explicitly said on my podcast episode, when somebody asked me if they would get Bungie, no, I don't think they would, and I don't think Bungie would ever sell. And literally the next day, I kid you not, the next day they announced, yeah, we acquired Bungie. And I was like, whoa, definitely didn't expect that. So it's hard to say, man. It's hard to say. Green Al Guillory saying, you watching the Super Bowl? Also Horizon Forbidden West commercial. I don't know if I'm going to watch the Super Bowl. Probably not, man. Like, I used to care about the Super Bowl, but these days I've just kind of fallen off of it. I've kind of, fallen off of football entirely. But the idea of there being a Horizon Forbidden West commercial during the Super Bowl, I could see that. I could see that for sure. And that would be pretty big. VIP3, you're saying, check the replies now. Important news. All right. I'll check real quick, man. If it's that urgent, better be worth it, bro. Better be worth it. Okay, so let me see. Well, you're not telling me, VIP3. I see what you sent me. I don't know who you are, and you're not telling me where this information's coming from. I don't believe you are. But it looks like a series of tweets. I'm just going to read them. We'll just see what they say. I got some inside news for you. 1, Sony is officially acquiring CD Projekt Red and Capcom Expect announcements within 1 to 3 weeks. I'm going to say right off the bat, man, that doesn't sound... I know I'm being trolled. I'm going with it because I'm interested. First of all, I'm going to say right off the bat, number one, that's not going to happen. Sony wouldn't... Look, it wouldn't be wise of Sony to announce, hey, we've acquired CD Projekt Red, and then within 1 to 3 weeks later, we've also acquired Capcom. That's just dumb. I say this because, first of all, the chances of both of those deals being done and finalized within that time frame is completely unrealistic. Second of all, even if that were the case, they were able to finalize both of those deals somehow in the same time frame, you don't announce both back to back. That's just you're stealing wind from, your own sails. You're just getting in your own way at that point. But the second piece of inside information here says Sony has 4 unannounced Marvel games in development. You ready? Daredevil, Punisher, Winter Soldier. That's 3 games, bro. Daredevil code name is The Man Without Fear. See, that doesn't sound realistic either, bro. Like, nobody... Come on, that code name is too long. Man Without Fear. It's too long, and it's too indicative of what it is. You know what I mean? Come on, bro. Okay, number 3, The Last of Us factions will be revealed during the summer event and will release holiday 2022. Okay, so look, I feel like that's plausible. Yeah, I feel like anybody could say that and be like, yeah, I mean, maybe. Yeah, there's maybe a 50% chance you'll be correct about that. 4, Roger Clark will be playing Logan in Marvel's Wolverine. The game will be similar to The Last of Us Part 2 from what I've been told. I mean, that sounds pretty cool. I could see that. Roger Clark, yeah, he would be pretty interesting as a Wolverine. Maybe. But thank you for that. Thank you for that inside information, buddy. All right. Let's keep it going. Jerome says, "Is it possible for Xbox to buy Ember Lab and Sifu Studio?" It is. Yes, it is. Believe it or not. At this point, I don't know how likely it is that Microsoft is going to announce an acquisition anytime soon. But I will say that if Sony didn't already pursue them, so I see Hiromitsu Kanzuki says, MBG, man, I feel the knot is tied with Ember Lab. Well, it's interesting because some people do feel that way. And I mean, look, Sony knows the score right now, man. Sony knows the score right now. Sony knows that whoever they're not willing to make an offer to, a good offer, whoever they're not willing to make a good offer to, they're up in the air. They don't know what could happen, and especially with these smaller studios. Ember Lab has proven they're extremely talented. They are a diamond in the rough. And I think Slow Clap, too. I at this point, I honestly think Sony should go after both Ember Lab and Slow Clap. And I'm going to talk more about why I would like to see Slow Clap acquired when I talk about Sifu. But yeah, that's definitely a possibility, man. And Jerome Montgomery, again, you're saying Kenna 2, Sifu 2, sad face. It's Hellblade all over again. Yeah, well, all right. So we are going to dive into the first topic here. You know what? I do want to say this too. Because some people were asking me if I was going to talk about it. Some people were asking me if I saw Actman's latest video, and I did. And I wasn't, I haven't really followed Actman in quite some time. I've always appreciated his content, though. I think his stance on The Last of Us Part 2 is just the funniest thing ever. But people were pointing out that he had mentioned me, or I think he pulled up a tweet of mine in his latest video. And his latest video was like a 30-minute, I think it was roughly 30 minutes, of him talking about how the console wars are cringe as hell and highlighting the dumb shit, including myself, that people say on Twitter. And I was so surprised that I was featured in this video. But at the same time, the tweet that he pulled up, dude, he had me just rolling, man. Like, I was just rolling because he brought up the tweet, and it's funny because he blanked out my Twitter name, but my logo's right there. So it's like, gee, I wonder whose tweet that is. But he pulled up the tweet from Christmas Day. I actually tweeted out early Christmas morning where I said, Merry Christmas and a moment of, I think it was something like Merry Christmas and a moment of silence for all those who woke up to an Xbox Series S this morning. And dude, I remember when I put that tweet out, the response was not too far off the mark from what I was expecting. But I got to tell you that when Actman, kind of reacted to that, and he was like, I think he went something along the lines of, hey guys, hey everybody, Merry Christmas. By the way, fuck Xbox. Dude, I was dying because I'm like, that is the joke, man. That's the joke. That's what's supposed to be funny about it. And people got really upset from that tweet. And there were some people who got offended because they did wake up to an Xbox Series S. And the reality of the situation is, look, if you woke up Christmas morning to an Xbox Series S, you're not going to be upset. You're not going to, well, I mean, maybe there are some people genuinely who would be like, I wanted a PS5, and maybe they'll be a little bit upset that they got a Series S, but it was supposed to be funny. And I feel like people, I don't know, I get that it was like Christmas morning, but I guess just to put you in my shoes for a minute here, just so maybe people can get a better idea of why I would tweet something like that out on Christmas morning. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. It's Christmas morning. I'm waking up with my cup of coffee and I'm just sitting there at the table, really just kind of trying to wake up, scrolling through Twitter, and I'm like, I got a good idea for a tweet. And what's weird is like people are like, bro, why are you console warring on Christmas? I'm like, dude, I'm not trying to console war. It's funny as shit. It's funny. Like, if you can't laugh at that tweet, there's something wrong with you, man. Come on. Like, people talk about how cringe the console wars are. People talk about how cringe, fighting over consoles and shit is. I get it. I know it's cringe, but that's part of like what's supposed to be funny about it is you're not supposed to take it so dead serious. Like if somebody wrote a tweet, if Phil Spencer put out a tweet, well, Phil Spencer wouldn't put out a tweet, maybe Aaron Greenberg, right? Aaron Greenberg likes to poke the hornet's nest occasionally. If Aaron Greenberg put out a tweet that day and he's like, I hope you woke up with an Xbox under your Christmas tree and not a PS5, that shit would be funny, man. It's just like when he put Crash Bandicoot in his profile picture, dude. Was it Aaron Greenberg and Crash Bandicoot? And I'm just like, dude, that is awesome. Like, that is funny as shit because that there are just people who are like, damn it, But overall, I thought his video was really funny, man. Like, he was pointing out some funny ass shit that people, some like ridiculous, like I say some ridiculous cringe stuff occasionally. But some of the shit he was pointing out, I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. So yeah, I was surprised, man. I was surprised that that tweet popped up because I'm like, dude, that tweet is months old, But yeah, it had me laughing. It had me laughing. Oh, and some people are like, yeah, you and Actman got beef. I'm like, dude, Actman, he has a big YouTube channel, man. Like me and Actman do not have any beef, bro. Like I think that dude's funny. I don't follow him that closely, but when I do catch his content, I think it's pretty good. And I didn't know what to expect when I saw that video, and I'm like, oh man, who knows what's gonna pop up? And he brought up my you said Phil Spencer says the fact you were console warring on Xmas Day was cringe, bro, dude. Like, I guess if you take it seriously, I guess, yeah. Got my there's like a body armor drink here. It's really good, but I added some protein powder to it. Been hitting the gym, guys. Been hitting the gym. I am on week 2 of consistently, I mean like hardcore hitting the gym. I'm back at it. A couple months from now, I'm gonna be sitting here like this, But all right, let me see. JDTV, you're saying, did you see the Polygon report regarding Lego Star Wars? There's a risk that the game won't be good due to horrendous working conditions. I actually I actually didn't catch that report, man. I don't really follow Polygon, but I feel like I did hear a couple of people, or I saw a couple of things pop up online that was talking about that. So, I mean, I hope that's not the case, man. I'm not a big fan of the Lego games, but I respect them. Like they have a good formula, and I know a lot of people are really looking forward to this Star Wars Lego game because it's like it's been a long time, I think, and so I hope that's not the case, man. I hope that if they have some really terrible working conditions, they can sort that out because you never want to see developers their mental and physical state have to suffer just for the sake of pushing a product out. I mean, you're not gonna get the best product if they're if they're not in the right mindset or they're not physically healthy, right? So hopefully they can correct that, man. If it's true. Heatwave PS5, you're saying when VRR gets dropped, will it only work on a Sony TV? I don't think so. No. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are wondering where VRR is, and I'm kind of over it at this point. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. Like, I'm just kind of completely over the whole like Sony needs to drop VRR. Like, dude, it's way overdue at this point. Like Sony should have had VRR out a while ago. I don't know why they still don't, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend that when I'm playing my games on PS5, that I'm putting down my controller like when I'm playing a game, and I'm just like this sucks because I don't have VRR. I don't do that. I straight up don't do that. I haven't really played many games where the frames have dropped that much. But I'm not saying that it means that, oh, we shouldn't get VRR. I'm not saying that. And I know some people are going to take it that way. I'm just simply saying for me, it's not a problem. But there's no doubt that Sony should have VRR on the PS5 at this point. It's just bizarre to me that it doesn't. That's all I'm trying to say. I see a lot of people wanting 1440p as well. Yeah, I feel like that's not as high on the priority list. The big one is VRR. I just, I don't want to come out here and make it sound like, Sony shouldn't have it at all. But I also don't want to make it sound like, I don't want to make it sound like it's something that I'm over here being like, come on, Sony, make it happen right now. Maybe when I see somebody saying it's one of those things, once you have it, you'll really appreciate it. Maybe that's true. Yeah, for sure. VRR is essential for esports gamers on PlayStation. I think definitely. I agree with that. And that's what's weird about it is like Sony, they said they're bringing out tournaments for PS5 this year. And we know that they're really getting involved in like the esports scene more heavily. It really would make sense for the PS5 to have VRR, And we have Zay Very Rare again. You're saying, I see you drinking body armor. My fave is blackout berry and gold berry. Yeah, I got the strawberry banana, which is, I think that's my favorite. I just usually grab whatever there is. I don't really care like which flavor. I love body armors, man. They're really good. They're way better than Gatorade. I think they're a little bit more expensive, but I think it's worth it. I drink one every time I'm done working out with a protein shake. It's really good combo. X-Man says, I bodybuild, I'll hook you up with the diet. Let me know, MBG. I'm good for now. I think I'm pretty good. I mean, my diet definitely needs a little bit of cleaning up, but all right, guys, let's, let me answer this first. JDTV says, will you do something special due to Horizon Forbidden West release, a stream, a story recap video, maybe an idea for a member perk? What I was planning on doing, just what I did with Sifu, I'm probably going to stream myself playing the game for a little while. I don't get a ton of viewership when I stream myself playing games, but that's because I don't really do it very often. And I told you guys that this year I'm going to try to make more of an effort to do that more frequently. So this Friday, if all goes according to plan, my hope is I'll be able to do a live stream of my first time playing Horizon Forbidden West. And I think that would be pretty fun to watch for you guys. So hopefully we can make that happen. Did I finish Sifu yet? No. I'll talk more about that. I'll let you know where I'm at in Sifu when we get to that. The first topic I do want to discuss here that I really want to dive into, let me see. So actually, my first topic here is talking about Sifu. So let's talk about Sifu. Okay, first of all, I want to acknowledge that there has been a bit of an argument recently with Sifu. It's not that serious, but people have been giving their opinions. We recently learned that Sifu will be getting an accessibility update, and part of this accessibility update is they're adding difficulty modes or difficulty options. I mean, I don't know why I call them modes, difficulty options. And the difficulty options is there's going to be an easier one, but there's also going to be a harder option as well. So, there are people kind of arguing that developers shouldn't do that. Like that's pretty much the argument, that you shouldn't alter your vision of the game. Like you made the game originally with no difficulty options. It should stay that way. And I don't really agree with this. Now, granted, I can see both sides here. I'll tell you why. First of all, there's no doubt that a game like Sifu is difficult, but you have to really, I think, evaluate a specific game. There has to be context here. And I feel like the context with Sifu is there is a very specific reason this game is as hard as it is. The reason why this game is so difficult is because, well, it's a pretty short game. It's about 5 levels, and let's look at the 1% or like the 5% of people who just immediately master a game like Sifu. If you go on YouTube, you can find these people where they are literally blowing through the game, with speed runs of like 12 minutes or something. It's ridiculous. And they've completely mastered this game. When you look at that, it makes it seem like, wow, that's not, like, it just makes the game seem not that fun, because you can literally just blow past it in minutes, right? Like, you pick up the game, you beat it, you master it in like a couple hours, you beat it within like, I see that guy Phil Spender, he's saying $40 for 5 levels. Oof, but that's just it, man. You have to understand, the point of this game is to not be good at it when you first play it, and not be good at it for quite some time. The point of this game is you are supposed to go in and get your ass handed to you over and over again until you master the mechanics, until you master each enemy. And when you finally master a certain group of enemies and you progress, you encounter a new enemy with a new set of moves, a new set of mechanics, and you're probably going to get your ass handed to you again for quite some time until you master that as well. And you slowly but surely make your way through. And I believe when I'm playing a game like Sifu, I can clearly understand what the developer is trying to achieve here. Basically, they're like, hey, this game is truly about, the idea of being a martial artist. It takes years and years of practice of just doing the same thing over and over and over again to master it until you become, Sifu, until you become the master. And I have made it to the final level of Sifu. I have not completed the final level yet, but I've made it. And the reason why I haven't completed the final level yet is because I'm now going back to the other levels and trying to master them. I went back to level 1 and I completed it without dying. So I made it past level 1 at age 20. And at level 2, I'm having a little bit more of a struggle. And this is where I keep playing it over and over again, where the best I did on level 2 is I made it past level 2 at age 27. And I'm trying real hard to see if I can keep it within age 20 to 23 when I make it to level 3. I do want to try to get the platinum. And for those who don't know, to get the platinum in Sifu, you have to complete the entirety of the game without going past age 25, which means you have very, very little room for error, and you absolutely have to master it. See somebody saying that they got the platinum for Sifu. That's extremely impressive. Jerome, you're saying MBG, just like you, I got a PS5 early, and with big games like HBW, GOW, and GT5 being cross-gen makes me feel some type of way. Gotta wait for God of War 3 and Horizon 3. Yeah, so I feel you there, Jerome. I mean, it's difficult for me to be upset that Sony is making a game like Horizon cross-gen, because when I see Horizon, I just feel impressed, man. I feel impressed. It's the same with God of War. Like, I can't help but feel impressed, and excited. I mean, it would be more exciting if it was like next gen only and what they could possibly do, but we will talk more extensively about Horizon being cross-gen and what that means now that we are, on the cusp of it releasing. D-Doc, you're saying it took me 22 hours to platinum Sifu. It's a masterpiece, chef's kiss. Damn, dude, you got the platinum as well? That's crazy. Like, you're a lot better than me, man, because I don't know. like with how I'm almost at Horizon. With Sifu, I definitely can see how you can get through the first boss, the third boss, and the fourth boss. Like they're on the easier side. Like the mechanics and for those boss battles, I think are much easier to master. The boss level for level 2 is really giving me a hard time. Like I can't seem to master it when you get to his second phase. He gets like really aggressive and it's really hard for me to keep up. And like I just rapidly start to die like 2 or 3 times in a row. And it's like, well, damn, I have not faced the final boss yet. And I'm kind of nervous because I feel like I'm going to master all 4 of these bosses. And then I'm going to get to the 5th boss and I'm just going to get decimated, bro. I don't know. Maybe you can let me know how difficult the final boss is compared to the other ones. But that's impressive, dude. I really hope I can get the platinum for Sifu because that's a platinum I really want, just like I did with Returnal. So, also Returnal. I don't know if Returnal was more difficult than Sifu, but Returnal drove me nuts because in order to get the platinum for Returnal, you have to get all of the ciphers and they're randomly generated. And oh my God, I wanted to strangle that game. I mean, I know it's just a game, but man, I just wanted to destroy it because I'm like, why? You're saying see Dan Allen video on the second boss to beat him easily. Maybe I'll check that out. Let me see here. We got KD, member for 3 months. Thank you, man. You're saying, what's good, MBG? Do you think there's a general less is more gaming media bias with all these very short but hard, critically acclaimed games? Yeah, there might be, man. There might be. I mean, I've kind of noticed that trend as well, where it's like, yeah, we're starting to see these games where it's like the meat of the game, the meat that's on the bone is the difficulty itself. It's not the amount of content on offer. It's not even necessarily the enemy variety. It's not how many different areas there are, how big the world is. And I gotta tell you, man, as somebody who from time to time, like I'm playing Dying Light 2 and I'm struggling with Dying Light 2 because I'm just like, it just feels like another open world game. And I'm praying, I don't expect this to be the case, but I'm praying when I play Horizon, I don't get that open world fatigue. I don't think that's why I'm focused more on Sifu now, because I kind of want to go into, I'm kind of putting Dying Light 2 to the side. When I go into Horizon, I want it to feel more like, okay, like this is the open world I'm ready to embrace. I don't know, man. When I'm playing Dying Light 2, I'm just like, maybe the story's not gripping enough for me. I don't know what it is, but I'm just struggling with it. And between the two, I just find myself constantly playing Sifu. And I mean, I don't know if there's less is more media bias per se, but I just think that in a time where you see so many publishers and so many studios, again, like talking about Dying Light, they're like, our game will take 500 hours to complete. And people were like, what? Like, that's not a selling point, man. And then you have a game like Sifu that's completely, it's a complete contrast to what that is. I think people kind of want more products like this. I do. Like, I've tried to explain to people that a game like Sifu for $40 is totally worth it. If you like those type of games, if you like challenging games, it's totally worth it because I think I'm already like 15 to 16 hours into it. And, for me, that's a lot of time racked up in a very short period of time. And when I complete the game, when I beat level 5, I know that it's not just gonna be like, okay, I'm done, I'm putting the game down now. There's more I'm gonna want to do. There are like some collectibles, not necessarily collectibles, but like investigations you have to do. And you're gonna want to, kind of look through the different levels more extensively. You don't want to miss it. And that is one complaint I have about Sifu. Before I get too derailed here, I want to go back to the difficulty options conversation, but I do want to say, I see somebody asking for me to comment on censorship. I'll talk about that as well, but I'm going to try my best to actually stay on topic here and go from one topic to the next without jumping all over the place. With Sifu, the one thing, there are basically only 2 negatives I have for Sifu so far. One, the camera angles. I like the camera angles, but the way they work, sometimes they can work against you and they can essentially get you killed in a moment where it's like, specifically on the boss battle with Sean, The first level, the first phase of his boss fight, anytime I go to like pick up a staff, sometimes he like corners me and I can't see what's going on and it drives me nuts. So, you're saying abuse parry for the last boss in Sifu. I duly noted. I will remember that. But the camera angles can be a little finicky at times, but to me, that's kind of like a small gripe. The second thing, though, is I really wish. Now, granted, I have not completed the game, so my opinion on this might change depending on how it ends. But I really wish that there was more of a story here, like the story was more fleshed out. And this is why I kind of would love to see Slow Clap acquired by Sony, because I feel like if they could get acquired by Sony and make like a follow-up to Sifu, I don't know if there can be a Sifu 2, but another game similar to this, and they could just really go all in with the story. Have more levels, just really kind of grow the game in a more significant way. I would love to see that, because there's just the thing that I love about Sifu is the same thing I love about Returnal, where it's like you can tell, like, man, this is a great game. There's so much here that's just awesome, but there's still untapped potential, right? Like there's still more that they can achieve here. And I feel like if a studio like Slow Clap, similar to Housemarque, has the backing of PlayStation, yeah, I think that they could do something really big and really awesome. So, and KD, again, you're saying, are you going for the Platy in Kena? I heard the hard mode difficulty turns into a Souls game. I got all of the trophies except that one. Honestly, no. For some reason, a game like Kena Birds of Spirits, I don't feel the need to platinum it. It has nothing to do with my view on the quality of the game. It's just a game like Kena, I feel like my first playthrough was perfect for me. I think it took me about like 20 to 23 hours or something like that. I'm pretty sure. I'd have to double check that, but roughly around 20 hours. And I felt totally like, okay, like, this is what I wanted in this game. It was exactly what I expected it to be, and I'm satisfied with it. Maybe I'll go back and play it at some point. Not anytime soon, though. That's for sure. I got too much to play. You're saying no, platinum every game you own, bro. Yeah, right. I'd lose my mind. The last platinum I did get, though, was Guardians of the Galaxy, only because it seemed like it was pretty easy to go platinum. I only had like, I think 4 or 5 trophies I had to get. So I just like, whatever, I'll just bang them out real quick. Why not? D-Doc, again, you're saying you got to master the weave, L1 plus left stick. It just takes practice. That's what's so cool about it. Yeah, okay, so I streamed myself playing, maybe many of you were there to watch it. I streamed myself playing Sifu, and people in the chat were screaming at me. They're like, dude, you got to learn to weave, man, because I kept just hitting R2 and just, dodging everywhere. And I'm like, when you do that in the game, when you just spam R2, yeah, you can avoid attacks, but you're also creating distance with you and the enemies. So you do that, you dodge the attack, but then you can't really hit them or be effective, in an offensive way against them, because you've now created distance. And that's where I literally, a couple hours later, I realized, that's what I was missing entirely. And when you play the second boss battle against Sean, for me, that was absolutely the thing that that screwed me up entirely, because my first time fighting him, I'm just trying to dodge everywhere and I can't touch the dude. And I'm like, what's going wrong here? And then I learned, you have to weave and duck, and and it made all the difference. And yeah, so that D-Doc, it's funny because they're just there are people screaming their heads off at me, like they're like, bro, L1, you gotta hold L1 in the left stick, and I'm just completely ignoring them. Like, I'll get this, guys. I'll get it my own way. Okay, Kapapa, thank you for the 5, buddy. John O, you're saying MBG tried to play Kena on hard. LOL, it's no joke. I mean, maybe I will at some point, dude. Maybe I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that there was a trophy to complete it on hard, and I believe it though. I believe it, because the game was a little bit more difficult than I was expecting, just playing it on normal. So that doesn't surprise me. Rory, you're saying just rolled credits on Horizon Zero Dawn, ready for Horizon Forbidden West. So hype. That's awesome to hear, man. I mean, you picked the perfect time to play Horizon Zero Dawn, for sure. Just a week away from Forbidden West launching. iSiler, 18, a member for 21 months. Thank you so much. That's almost 2 years. Play Has No Limits Plus. You're saying currently on the last boss for Sifu, you can't use any focus attacks on him at all. The blue bar meter. I'm gonna cry. What? What? No way. No way. That sounds brutal. I rely on them, not super heavily, but enough. I rely on them enough to where that's kind of devastating. So, John O, thank you for the $1. So, just getting back to the difficulty discussion for Sifu, hearing, let me see. I see somebody saying account NGT. That guy tweeted about it. Just take it with a grain of salt. I keep tabs on that account occasionally, account NGT. Did they tweet anything important? I know that they're usually tweeting about Hogwarts Legacy, or they're tweeting about what's that studio? What? I can't think of the studio. You guys know what I'm talking about. They made Heavy Rain and whatnot, and Detroit Become Human. But if there's something I missed, let me know. I'm curious. But the thing with the difficulty options, it's in regards to the PlayStation event. I'll check it out because he's mentioned things about that before, and I have a hunch. I have a hunch that Sony is doing an event very soon. Well, by very soon I mean possibly in March. I don't think there's going to be an event this year. This month. There's not going to be an event. Could you imagine if there wasn't a Sony event this year? Could you imagine? Quantic Dream. There we go. Yeah, I don't know why I couldn't remember. Let me see. I'm checking now to see if he said anything. I don't see him saying anything about an event yet. I'll look into it more later. I keep getting distracted here. Meetool says Rams or Bengals. I think I'm going to go with Rams. I think Matthew Stafford, right? He's with the Rams now, I believe. I think he deserves a Super Bowl win, right? If I'm remembering, if I'm up to date with this, because I don't really follow football anymore, but I'll go with Rams. Why not? Okay, I'm getting. Thank you for that, though, buddy. I am getting distracted. All right, hold on. I want to bring this up here real quick because now I've got my. You piqued my curiosity. Do NG. All right, yeah, so let me get back on point here before I get just way off topic. I keep doing this. I apologize. When it comes, because this is the point I'm trying to make, okay? This is the point I'm trying to make. When it comes to the difficulty options being incorporated with this new update, Sifu is going to have an easy mode. I have no problem with this. I want to make it clear that I am not one of these people where if I find out, Sifu's getting an easy mode, wow, good job. Thanks a lot. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me whatsoever because how does it affect me? It doesn't. It doesn't affect me. If I want to play the game on the base difficulty, the exact way they wanted me to experience it, I can do that. And if there's an easy mode, I don't have to play the easy mode. Nobody's putting a gun to my head and saying, you better do this. You better do this, I will say this, though, and this is the important thing I want to say. My only thing is, I would always encourage anybody who is going to pick up a game like Sifu, and I feel like the developer should try to. Well, I don't know if it's in the developer's best interest to say something like this, but I'll say something like this. I would always encourage anybody who picks up a game like Sifu, try your best. And I mean your best. And that's the thing. That's the one thing about having an easy mode that I feel like it kind of gets into people's heads. If you know you can just drop the difficulty, you may not push yourself to really get to that point that you can get to. Maybe you'll just end up going to the easy mode because you just give up too soon. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I would really encourage somebody if there's an easy mode available, try not to immediately jump to it. Try, give it your best effort and keep trying. And if you do go to the easy mode and you do complete it, I would still recommend trying to go back to the normal mode and master it. And I just say that specifically for a game like Sifu, only because Sifu is, again, it's a game that's built around the difficulty. Now, the thing is, we have no idea what this easy mode is going to be like. It might not be that much easier. You know what I'm saying? It might just be like, I don't know, maybe you can just take a few more hits or something like that. Or maybe the enemies attack just slightly slower so you can kind of process, for people who are, it's a little bit more difficult for them to catch on to because that's how I am. It takes me a long time to really catch on to the patterns of the attacks. Some people can get it just like that. But, that's my recommendation. I'm not going to sit here and be like, well, no, get good or don't play the game. Because the truth is, a game like Sifu is so good that, I would be happy, to know that more people are giving it a chance and giving it a try, knowing that there's an easy mode because they feel less intimidated. And who knows, maybe they start on easy mode, they blow through it and they're like, wow, that was actually easier than I expected. And then they're like, you know what, let me try it on normal. And then there's also going to be a harder mode too. So it's like, there's something there for the people who really, like, I kid you not, I've seen these people who are like, I completed Sifu without getting hit one time. And I'm like, what are you some kind of gaming god? You must be. And, there's going to be an even harder difficulty for those individuals. So, I would just kind of encourage anybody who is being very rigid. A lot of people saying that, I don't like difficulty options. MBG, you said the complete opposite for Souls games. Here's what I want to make clear. Just because I'm not against difficulty options does not mean that I feel every game needs them. You need to understand there is a distinct difference between those two things. If Miyazaki came out and said, we're going to have difficulty options in Elden Ring, I would not care. I could care less. However, when Miyazaki comes out and says, we're not going to have difficulty options because this is just the experience we want to make, I'm okay with that as well. That's what I want to make clear. Like, Returnal is a great example where Returnal is similar in many ways to Sifu. They had the same complaints. There were a lot of people complaining that Returnal needs a difficulty option. It needs an easy mode. And they were just like, no, we're not. And we also have to understand there might be more reasons beyond what people are thinking as to why developers might not just add an easy mode. I think Elden Ring and maybe Returnal are good examples where maybe it could break the game. You're saying accessibility is never a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. No, it's not. It's not a bad thing. That's why I'm saying any developer that says we want to have an easy mode, I don't care. That's fine. Even if Miyazaki said for all his games going forward, there's going to be an easy mode, I wouldn't care. I'm just saying I'm also not going to turn around though and say, you better have an easy mode. You need to have an easy mode because that's not my call to make. People, and that's just how it is. I feel, passionately about like, hey man, like you're the one making the game here. You know what you want your game to be and you know how you want people to experience it. And maybe this kind of falls in line with what we're going to talk about a little bit later about the whole censorship thing with Martha is Dead. But when it comes to the difficulty conversation, first of all, it should be in the developer's hands. The developers should choose for themselves. I'm just saying that I'm not against either side, right? I think it's fine either way. I also just wanted to say, because I think this might be a fair point as well, we might have to think a little bit more about certain games and why maybe it's not so simple for developers to just immediately say, we're just going to add an easy mode. Maybe it'll break the game. You know what I mean? Like, it might not be that easy. It might take more development time. They might have to change things in a significant way and they weren't anticipating it. I'm just saying, because like when I think about reasons why maybe Returnal never got an easy mode, why a game like Elden Ring, when it's released, it'll be brutal, obviously, but there might be a good reason why these FromSoft games in the past just never got easy modes, because it might actually just break the game. And you have to think about a game like Sifu. I would assume that the reason why they're so quick to be like, you know what, we're going to put an easier difficulty, it's because it won't be too difficult for them. Or maybe difficult's the wrong word. It won't take too much development time for them, you know, or maybe they're not even moving on to their next project yet. I don't know. It's just one of these things where I have, just to summarize, and we'll move on to the next topic. I have no problem if a developer wants to add difficulty options to their game. I think it can only be a good thing for people who are having a struggle with the game, people who maybe weren't even going to pick up the game, but then they find out, you know, I actually have a friend who, when Sekiro came out, they bought the game and they were excited for it, and they just couldn't master it. Like they couldn't get past some of the bosses, and they ended up giving up. And I was talking to him about this the other day, and he was like, yeah, dude, I would have loved to have like an easier difficulty option in Sekiro because I just couldn't do it. And he just, you know, lost the will to play the game and just moved on. And I'm like, you know, in that case, you can kind of understand the argument where it's like, yeah, it wouldn't necessarily hurt. It wouldn't necessarily hurt. I think the reason why people get so intense about like no easy mode, get good, is because people who play these games and then do beat them, they feel good about it. They feel good because it's like it's almost like they feel like they're in a prestigious group where it's like you have to be at a certain level to beat this game. And when you do beat this game, you can then say, I beat that game. That's right, I did it. And I understand that as well, because that feels good, right? It's like when you see like, oh, this is a challenge and not everybody's going to be able to do it. Only some people can, you know, only a certain percentage of people, you know, when you're part of that percentage where it's like, yeah, that's right, I did it. It makes you feel good. But at the same time, I feel like, you know, is it really worth it? Is that great feeling of satisfaction that I beat it? Is it worth knowing that there's like a bunch of people that would have been able to experience this game otherwise and love it just as much as you, and they'd be able to talk about it with you? You know what I mean? I'm just not like that. I can't turn around and be like, what's that? You couldn't beat that boss in this game? Well, you suck, bro. Get good. You don't even deserve to play this game. I just can't be that way. I feel like that's just messed up, you know? But I understand why some people kind of get that mentality. All right, let me see. RU46 N2 Ray, member for 7 months, play as the limits plus. Thank you so much, buddy. You're saying, MBG, you need to play Absolver. It, in many ways, is a bit harder than Sifu. Would love to hear your opinion on Absolver. Also, Sifu is Absolver 2, and Absolver is made by Slow Clap. You know, a lot of people have told me about that game, and I wasn't aware of Absolver. And that's really interesting to me. Like, it's interesting to me that this studio had a game out that was similar to Sifu, and I didn't even know about it. So I might have to, at some point, go back and check that out. Ryan Thomas, you're saying, MBG, how excited are you for the next 2 weeks of PlayStation gaming? Horizon and Elden Ring. It's February. Yeah, dude, I'm scared. Like, I don't know how else to put it, bro. I'm scared. I am. Yeah, I'm panting and I'm sweating, man, because I'm like, how am I gonna do this? And I'm starting to feel like pressure even with Sifu, because I'm like, I really want to make sure I complete Sifu, and I don't think I'm gonna platinum it. Maybe I could. It depends, but I really want to complete Sifu before Horizon and Elden Ring drop, because when Horizon and Elden Ring drops, oh man, it's gonna be tough. You know, going back and forth with those games, bank account sweating. Yeah, dude. Yeah, but worth it. Absolutely worth it, in my opinion. Oh, man. That hits the spot. So, you know, let me, I'm going to read let me read these couple super chats, and then I'll wrap up my, what I'm saying about Sifu when we'll move on to the next topic. iSiler18, you're saying, my take is that there's a million games out there, so I think it's fine the Soul series and Sifu were difficult. I don't think about if someone I never met before can't beat the game, lol. You know, that's a totally fair point, iSiler. That's a totally fair point. And I actually appreciate you saying that, because that makes sense. You're not being rude about it. You know, you're not being like, hey, I'm better than you, get good. You're just simply saying that, there's millions of games out there, and it's like you're just simply saying it's totally okay if there are some games where when you pick them up, you're not going to be able to choose an easy mode. It's okay. Not, you know what I mean? And I agree. It is okay for these games to exist. It is okay. And I get what you're saying. You're talking about, you don't really think about if someone you never met before can't beat the game. Yeah, I get that. I feel like when you think about it through that lens, you're thinking more like a developer in a way. You're thinking more like a publisher, more like, we want more people to play this game and to experience it. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that either. But I also totally get what you're saying, where it's like, I have to admit, I'm the same way. Like, I'm not, when I'm in the middle of playing Sifu and I'm whooping ass and I'm like, yeah, I'm doing it. I'm not sitting there thinking, but is, Joe Schmo that I never met, is he doing it too? You know what I mean? like I don't really think like that when I'm playing certain games. KD, you're saying most people with jobs or with only a couple hours to play games a week don't want to spend that time dying repeatedly and mastering mechanics to make progress. That's also a very fair point as well, KD. And that is another aspect that we do have to consider, where it's like, yeah, people's time is limited. They have things to do, and when they go to sit down to play games. But I guess you could, it is tough, because it's like, with that being said, you could also propose the argument, well, then maybe a game like Sifu just isn't for that person. Maybe that person should try to find a different game, that is more suited for them, and it's more respecting of their time that they have to actually play games. So again, it's one of these things where you can make an argument for both sides, and I guess just every person kind of has to decide for themselves which argument they agree with more and lines up more with what they think. John O, you're saying the censorship thing is because violence done on a baby and Martha is dead, but to those worried about censorship, The Last of Us 2 says hi, LOL. Actually, we will talk about that. I actually saw that scene. I saw a clip of it, and I couldn't help but watch it because I was morbidly curious. Like, is this as bad as it's being made out to be? I'm going to be completely honest right now. It's not. First of all, it's not a baby. So there is some misinformation going out around their game, and I feel like it would be maybe in the developer's best interest to try to clear this up. It's not a baby that it's being done on. And that, to me, I want to make it clear, that to me is why I was like, holy shit, that's crossing the line. All right. I want to make that clear. That's why when I first heard about this, I was like, Sony made the right call. Like, to me, that's just too far. But then I saw the clip and I'm like, that's not a baby. That's a big difference. It's a big difference. And I watched the scene, and it's not, I mean, look, yes, it's very graphic. It's very disturbing, but it's a horror game as well. Somebody says they cut out a fetus. Okay, that I didn't see. I don't know if there's truth to that. I didn't see that. That is, yeah, that's pretty rough. That's pretty rough. But the scene that I saw that everybody was talking about, I was like, okay, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. Like, I could understand why some people are like, oh God, like that's, look away. I totally get that. But it's really not like, holy shit, get that out of the game right now. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute, because I think I had this is one of those things where, like, I shouldn't have reacted on Twitter, because I honestly didn't know what the hell I was even reacting to. I'm going to be honest right now. I didn't see the game. I didn't see the clips. I was basically just going off of what people were telling me in a paragraph, and that's just foolish of me. I have to do my own due diligence, and I have to see for myself and learn. And again, yeah, context is everything. And I feel like in this case, there pretty much was no context, and the only context you're being given is from people saying what they saw. Censorship leads to communism. Nah, dude, I want to make one thing clear. That tweet I put out, I understand how maybe it was interpreted as, I'm pro-censorship. I'm not pro-censorship. I want to make that clear. I am not pro-censorship at all. At the same time, I just understand that PlayStation, just like Nintendo, just like Xbox, and like any other place, they're their own entity. And if they choose to do something It's like they're allowed to do that. That's all I'm trying to say. They're allowed to do that. Does it mean they should? No, probably not. That's a whole entirely different discussion. But the fact remains, they're allowed to do that. And if you are, here's my recommendation, and I'm serious. I'm serious about this. If you are against censorship of like any kind, and you just despise censorship, what I would recommend is if you have any interest in this game, go buy it on Xbox. Go buy it on PC. I don't know if it's available on the Switch or Nintendo, but don't buy it on PlayStation, and just make it clear to Sony that you're not going to support a product that they censored. That's my recommendation, because that's how you send the message. I don't know that they're going to care. I don't know that that's going to change anything. But that is my recommendation. Because I'll tell you right now, we could all come out here and put our middle fingers in the air to Sony and be like, screw you and screw your censorship. I don't think they're going to give a shit. And I have to say this because, let's be fair here. As far as I'm aware, it's not like Sony is doing this all the time. It's not like on a weekly basis. It's like, okay, what did Sony censor now? It's not like that. However, Sony has been known in the past to censor some shit that's like, that, please stop. The one instance that comes to mind is I remember in Devil May Cry 5, there was a scene where I think it was Dante picks up Trish, or maybe it was another character, but it was a female character, and literally her ass is on the screen for literally like 2 seconds. Just straight up ass cheeks. That's all you're seeing, okay? It's not vulgar or anything. That's it. And they asked Capcom to censor that. Now, if I understand correctly, they went back and they undid that, probably because they realized that's fucking stupid. You know what I mean? Like, that's stupid. It's censoring the triple A-ness. Yeah, good one. And, this is where you do have to be very cognizant of what exactly is it that Sony's censoring, because we have to also look at the other side of this, where it's like, what about creative freedom? And this is where I realized that, I can't. I know that there are a lot of people that are saying, no, MBG, it's okay that Sony censored this. It's fine because it's just messed up, man. It's messed up and it's aggressively violent and it's hyper violent and whatever. And I'm just like, but that's not the point, and I can't get behind that the more I think about it, because I'm like, no, like, this is a horror game. It's creative freedom. And if they want to do like some really fucked up stuff in their horror game that makes me go, oh God, that doesn't, I don't need Sony. And I mean this, I don't need Sony to be, Papa Sony over here and be like, please protect us. All knowing Sony, why Sony, please tell me what I should or shouldn't be subjected to. No, I agree with what people are saying, because I'm like, yeah, wait a second. I'm a fucking grown man here. You know what I mean? Like, I can decide for myself if this game is going to be too much for me. And we need to make sure that rating systems, right? Rating systems and warnings, at the very least, warnings. And this is where I think like Sony's being too extreme about it. Sony doesn't have to come out and say, get that shit out of your game right now. And it's causing the studio to delay their game physically, I believe anyway, causing the studio a bunch of problems. What Sony should do, if they're really that concerned, right? Like it's that bad. What Sony should do is you need to put an explicit warning at the beginning of your game. And give people an option to choose whether they want this scene to be like skipped or blurred out or whatever. That's the furthest Sony should do, because somebody brought up a really good point to me that made me realize, you know what? You're right. They talked about Modern Warfare 2's No Russian, and they said how, if you recall, when you boot up Modern Warfare 2, they give you a big warning at the beginning, letting you know there are some like very violent and disturbing, there's a disturbing mission. You can choose to opt out of it at the beginning, and you don't even ever have to know about it. You don't have to play it. But they gave the player the choice, and that's where I realized that's the best option. Sony, nor should any other entity go around censoring creators, because I will admit that when I was under the impression that, oh man, you're cutting, I'm not going to put this into words. I'm not going to put this into words on this podcast, because that's just, it's messed up, and I'm not trying to have this podcast get completely demonetized. But when I was under the impression that you're doing certain things to a baby in this game and you're like playing that part, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to feel bad that Sony decided to censor that, because to me, that does feel like, well, that's really crossing the line. Like, I don't want to ever see shit like that. And I don't think anybody should see shit like that, right? Maybe I just think that's how I feel. There are going to be some people who are like, no, I want to see that. And I'm like, you know what? That's on you, man. That's on you. But I don't need to see that shit ever. And then I found out, okay, it wasn't actually a baby. It was being blown out of proportion from what I understood. And again, I saw the scene for myself, and I'm like, this is what Sony's censoring? I mean, I've seen much worse. Not that I wanted to see much worse, but I have seen much worse. And this is where I feel like, yeah, I have to agree with what everybody is saying when they're like, dude, Sony shouldn't be doing this. This isn't the way. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, you're absolutely right. This is not the way, because a lot of people are also bringing up games like The Last of Us Part 2, where, there are, you can do things to you can mutilate people's bodies in The Last of Us Part 2 in a way that is deeply disturbing. You know what I mean? And this is where people are basically being like, how come Sony's being kind of hypocritical right now? And I've seen people post clips because of this. They would actually post clips online of the things that you can do to people's bodies in The Last of Us Part 2. And I was shocked. I couldn't believe some of the shit I was seeing. I was like, holy shit, I did not know you could do that. That is disturbing. And, somebody brought up to me, they were like, what about that scene with Abby? What about that scene with Abby? And I'm like, bro, that's not that bad. It was a little bit surprising and jarring, like, whoa, didn't see that coming. But people are trying to compare that to like cutting somebody's face off and wearing it. And I'm like, they're not the same. A friggin' sex scene that's not even, I mean, it's a little bit explicit, yeah, for sure, but it's not the same as that. You know what I mean? They're two very different things. But that's why I'm saying, like, if we're going to make comparisons here, let's focus on the explicit violence and the gore factor that's in The Last of Us Part 2, because that's more comparable to what we're seeing here with this game, Martha is Dead. And, yeah, I mean, look, I'm not going to spend much longer on this, mainly because that's pretty much the only point I wanted to make, and I thought it was worth covering here for sure. Because a lot of people like definitely pushed back on me, and that's the thing is like, this is where I don't like it when people attack me for saying things, because I'd rather people teach me something. You know what I mean? Like, please tell me if you think I have a really bad take on something. I'm interested to know what's so bad about it, because there's clearly maybe something I'm not seeing, or I'm not seeing the bigger picture here, and I need somebody to articulate that for me, because then once I see it, I'm like, oh, I get what I see, what you're, I'm picking up what you're putting down now, and when I kind of started hearing other people out, I was like, you're making a lot of sense right now. You're making a lot of sense right now. And then I finally saw the clip for myself, and I was like, yeah, this isn't that bad, guys. Like, come on. And I also want to say this final thing here. The developers were clearly not happy. I want to point that out. The developers of Martha is Dead, I know that there are people like, that game doesn't even look that good. I don't care. And I will admit, I am somebody who has no interest in this game. It's just not a game that was on my radar until now. Like, I didn't even know about it. So I'm not going to pretend like I was paying very close attention to it. But putting your opinion on how good the game is going to be, you have to put that aside and understand that, like, it's the implications. You know what I mean? It's the implications of what this means. Like, developers shouldn't have to feel nervous about, well, maybe we shouldn't do this in our game. Maybe we shouldn't do this in our game because, we don't want Sony tell us we have to censor it. Like, that sucks. I don't want that. I don't want that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want developers to have to be nervous now that they're going to be censored because they're crossing a line. And don't get me wrong, like, there are lines, but they're pretty fucking hard to cross. Like, I'm going to be real right now. Crossing the line is not an easy thing to do. And you know you've crossed the line when literally everybody in the room is looking at each other being like, no. You know what I mean? That's how you know you've crossed the line. And I'm looking at something like this and I'm like, most people are not going to look at this and look and be like, no, this is the worst thing ever. I've seen worse things in horror movies, truly. Although I will say there is an added layer to it. You're saying it's not that deep, bro. You got to be careful, Aaron. You got to be careful. It can become that deep. And that's what I've realized is these things have a kind of snowball effect. And that's the thing that people need to be very aware of. I know that at first it's like, oh, you censor an ass cheek or two, no big deal. Before you know it, what's it going to lead to? You know what I mean? And I mean, I'm being joking about it, but you really do got to be careful, the precedents that are being set. And, my stance on this, just to be clear, is I'm not pro censorship. And I was under the impression that this studio and these developers did something ridiculous to cross the line. That was like, what in God's name are you doing? And I saw the scene for myself and I'm like, that is not crossing the line. That's horror. That's disturbing. That's making me feel uncomfortable. The last time I checked, that's what horror is supposed to do, right? So yeah, I hope this doesn't continue because it's not something that I'm going to be happy about. And I hope that if Sony decides in the future that they're going to censor something, which I don't think they should at all, but I'm just saying if they're going to do it, I really hope that it's something that's truly like, yeah, pretty much everybody can agree nobody needs to see that shit, Because I've seen some people basically saying that like they saw this scene and they're like, I think that's actually kind of not cool, but like this is making like it's interesting that they're doing this because it's trying to evoke a feeling that, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just so fucking hypocritical of Sony, Sony's top brass, like Herman Hulst, to come out and be like, we're about evoking feeling and emotion. And Jim Ryan says the same thing and like pulling those emotions out of you. And we talk about games like The Last of Us Part 2 being some of the most brutal fucking games we've ever played. And they're that way because they want to pull those emotions out of you. But like when another developer does something, that they're like, whoa, buddy. We know that you can basically cut people in half in The Last of Us 2 or blow them to pieces and have their intestines mangled all over their bodies and blow their faces off and brains everywhere. But that right there, cutting that person's face off, that's crossing the line. I'm like, bro, what? Come on. Like, what are you talking about? They're pretty much on the same level. Anyway, I'm starting to get ranty. And when I get ranty, I get way off topic. So we'll have to pay attention to this. Because, it does make me nervous. That's all I'm trying to say. I'm all about creative freedom, and I genuinely appreciate creators. that are trying to do something different to evoke certain feelings. I don't like people who are doing like cheap tricks, and I saw this. It's not like a cheap trick. It's definitely a little bit like, holy shit, I didn't see that coming. But final point, I promise I'm going to move on. I know some people are asking me to move on. Final point. Oh yeah, Mortal Kombat exists, by the way. Holy hell. Can we? Yes, because somebody mentioned this. I'm like, you know what? You're fucking right. Mortal Kombat fatalities exist, and they are the worst things I've ever seen in a game when it comes to gore and brutalization. My son's like screaming out there. He's like, move on to the next topic, Dad. This shit's getting boring. All right, we'll move on. We'll move on. He's like, shut the fuck up, Dad. You're saying cutting someone's face off is honestly is extreme? It's definitely extreme, but bro, dude, I've seen literally mutilation 10 times worse in Mortal Kombat games. I'm not even kidding. I've seen shit in Mortal Kombat games that have made me go, oh my God. And that's hard to get me to that point. So anyway, we're moving on here. I got a couple super chats. Okay, let me see. Let me see. I'm a little bit behind here. Okay, Echoes93, you're saying, where's your Griffin Gaming response video, JK? Yeah, I'm not going to do response videos, man. Like, you know, the truth is, I don't really... It's just like with the Act Man, you know? Like, the Act Man called me out and made fun of me a little bit because of a tweet that I put out. And here's the thing, like, I can agree. I can agree that, yeah, that's a little cringy. It's a little bit corny, and it makes me look like I'm a console wearing fanboy on Christmas. I'm not here to fight people, because the only time I'm ever gonna really go after somebody is if I feel like they're being like totally like, wow. I'm gonna be honest. I don't watch Griffin Gaming's videos, so if he made like a video on me or something, I don't know. I'm not paying attention. I don't know if, you know, he does his thing. He has his whole, you know, persona and whatnot, and he does his thing, and I get that. I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not gonna come out here and be like, Griffin Gaming, how dare you? Like, dude, it's his thing. It's what he does. But yeah, I don't know if he made a video on me or not. Most of my videos recently have been news-based videos, so I would have to assume it was probably something. I don't know. It was something different that I did maybe like a couple weeks ago. If I had to guess, it was probably something during one of the acquisitions or some shit. If I had to guess, because yeah. All right, let me see here. I sometimes these super chats, like I love super chats, guys. Thank you. They help support the channel, but I get so frustrated sometimes because every time I move my cursor, it just like resets them to the bottom, and I got to scroll up and find where I was. All right, KD, you're saying this censorship outrage is just console war BS. No one was going to play this game, and Nintendo has been censoring games for decades, LOL. I mean, yeah, it's just, I guess maybe, you're probably right, KD. Like, there probably is a bunch of shit behind the scenes that gets censored, and we just never hear about it. I guess maybe this is just one of those things where, you know, it's like, hey, it is what it is, man. You know, like when we hear about it, people are probably not going to be happy. JDTV, you're saying he made a video basically laughing at you because you said Sony responded perfectly to Microsoft with the Bungie acquisition? Huh. I don't know. Maybe he... are you talking about that video where I said Sony's response was perfect? Maybe that's the one. MBG, did you see the Act Man tweet? No, I didn't. Dude, guys, I don't pay much attention to this stuff, man. You know? So it's hard for me to... You know, I could see that. I could, yeah, now that you mention it, dude, I actually can see that. If that's the video he talked about where I said Sony's response was perfect, of course people are going to clown on that video, man. But that's the point of it. That's the point of the video, is it's like, it's a little over the top. That's the fun of this shit, you know? It's not meant to be taken dead serious. Like if I say Sony's perfect response was a Horizon trailer, like, we know it's not the perfect response. We know that it's a little bit like, let's go, Sony. We all know that. But that's the fucking point, you know? But I stand by what I said, though. I stand by what I said. I think it was the best thing that Sony could have done immediately. And I just think it points out that, you know, hey, I mean, Microsoft buys Activision. Cool, yeah. Oh, Xbox, right? That's cool. And I'm just saying, well, you know, Sony put out a trailer for Horizon, and that's a game we're playing very soon. And I think that's a pretty good reason for PlayStation fans to still be excited about something, right? I don't know. It is what it is. It is what it is, man. iSiler18, you're saying, imagine if The Last of Us 2 is censored, yet it's not. Yeah, dude, I don't know, man. This is a YouTuber gaming channel boxing events in the future. Isn't that already a thing? But yeah, dude, see, Sony would never censor The Last of Us Part 2. Well, you know what? Here's food for thought. I have one for you. What if Sony did censor The Last of Us 2? And we just don't know it. Excuse me. What if Neil Druckmann and Naughty Dog put something in the game, and then Sony was like, no, No, you're not putting that in the game. Change it. Just food for thought. We would never know. We would never know. Oh, excuse me, guys. Sorry. You have to hear that. Got a little bit of post-nasal drip going on, you know? But let me see. We have Deepak L saying Sony censorship policy needs to be revised, asking other studios headache with censorship demands. In the case of The Last of Us Part 2, there's a sex scene. Yeah. I think Sony needs to get their shit together in this regard. John O says to end the censorship thing, hatred was banned on Twitch. Nobody said a thing. Shh. What's hatred? What is that game? I'm curious now what that game is. That it was just straight up banned on Twitch. You know what? Hold on. Is that game? Is hatred that game where you're just straight up, you literally go out there and just commit like atrocities? Like you just go on like a shooting spree or something? Is that what that game is? I feel like I've heard that before. Oh, you play as a serial killer? Okay. Yeah, I see. You play as a mass shooter. Yeah, see, it's stuff like that where it's like, I get it. I get it. That's some sensitive, like, come on. Who wants to play that? I'm sorry. Like, that's just, to me, what sucks about games like that is there's just nothing interesting there. They're just doing it for shock value. Like, check out this game. You play as a psycho killer who goes on a killing spree in a mall or something. It's like, cool. No, it's not fucking cool. Like, it's stupid. Who wants to play that? You know what I mean? That just sucks. Here, play a game that makes you feel like a complete piece of shit. No thanks. I'm not saying it necessarily deserves to be censored, but I'm just saying, like, I get why it's banned. And you're right. Who the fuck cares if a game like that gets banned? Who cares? No one cares. Like, what feeling is that trying to evoke? See, this is the question I have to ask when it comes to creators and the intent. When you create a game like that, what exactly are you trying to get me to feel? Because it just seems pretty disturbing to me. Whatever it is, whatever your intent is, seems pretty disturbing. Like, really, really fucked up, you know? Swearing a lot in this podcast. All right, let me see. Primal Plasma, you're saying, when I was a kid in 1980, I saw the chest exploder scene from the movie Alien. I was only 7 years old. It scared me for many years. Well, there you go, man. Maybe that's why, bro. I mean, what? You can't watch a scene like that when you're 7. I've had similar experiences, honestly, growing up. I've seen messed up stuff when I was really young, and it really it does stick with you, and it messes you up, like, growing up, and then you become an adult, and you're like, oh, well, I'm over it now, but messed me up for years, you know? Kevin Reavers, you're saying, do not forget these are multinational corporations. Will work in one country. What works in one country does not always work in another. Sony doesn't want the risk. Yeah, I understand that as well. But that's where we also have to ask the question, like, maybe we got to question who the hell we're doing business with. You know, if the entity you're doing business with is saying, yeah, no, you're not putting that here. If you're about freedom of expression and whatnot, again, without crossing in, very obvious lines, then maybe we got to question that. But I don't think Sony would question that, It's the business side of things. It's messed up, but it exists. Mike McCarthy, 88, says, movies have been censored for decades like this. Why not video games would be next? I mean, yeah, I guess that's true. But to be honest, I think a lot of people don't like to look at things that way. A lot of people don't want to look at the gaming industry and say, well, hey, this is what happened in the movie industry, so this is what should happen in the gaming industry. And I think that that's something we have to be aware of for good reason, because a lot of the things that happen in the movie industry or like the music industry, not good. Not good. You know what I mean? We don't want to see stuff like that happen. John O, you're saying, MBG, drop a link for that shirt, brother. Dude, do you have any idea how old this shirt is? This shirt is like easily 10 to 12 years old or something. I forget where I got it from, man, and I don't think they make it anymore. But it's held up really well. It's one of my favorite shirts. So, we have a new channel member, Ivanoa Kochoful. Welcome back, buddy. Play has no limits. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. Perfect Image says Batwoman first season was a man taking faces. Of course. Captain Cuba says, hey man, big fan of the channel. Personally, when do you think we'll get some news about God of War Ragnarok, and when do you think they should release it? Well, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Thank you. I mean, I have to imagine that the next time we'll get like significant news about God of War Ragnarok will come not too long after the release of Horizon and GT7, but we have to think about these games possibly getting in the way of one another. And if there's one thing Sony absolutely doesn't want, is a game like God of War to steal the attention from their game Horizon Forbidden West releasing, right? Same thing with GT7. So I suspect that what's going to happen, this is just my prediction, I could be completely wrong, and I have no inside information. What I suspect will happen, Sony's going to release Horizon Forbidden West. We're going to hear tomorrow about the reviews, and we're going to be talking about Horizon for weeks to come. You know, probably for about 2 weeks. Like, the conversation's really rampant. It starts to slow down in week 3 and week 4, but people will still be talking about it. Then they're going to have GT7 come out, and I feel like the conversation around GT7 isn't going to be as intense. It wouldn't surprise me if people are still talking about Horizon even after GT7 comes out. And then after that, I think there's a good chance we could get an event from Sony. And I mean like a bigger event, where not only are they going to show off PlayStation VR 2 and focus on that, but I think that's where we will see more God of War Ragnarok. And they'll be like, look, we got God of War Ragnarok coming out later this year. This is where we kick off the marketing at their event. And then maybe later on we could even get like a full-blown state of play for God of War. That's what I think. I think March is it. I'm ready to be wrong. But I think March is it. So don't hold me to that. But thank you for that, buddy. The Fourth Down Ninja says Sifu has a secret ending where you spare everyone. Really? I did not know that. I'll have to look into how you make that happen. I didn't know that. Young G, you're saying Ragnarok state of play soon. Again, I think an event is more likely than I think there will be an event where we will see God of War featured at this event, but then I think the state of play will be coming a little bit later. I do, for God of War. I could see it in reverse order, but I don't know. Like, my whole thing with this, the thing that's really kind of keeping me focused on this event, and I keep talking about an event, is because Sony has to show off PlayStation VR. Sony might not want to do that till June, though. So if Sony doesn't want to do an event till like June or something, which is also very likely, then we could see a state of play for God of War maybe in April or May, similar to what we saw with Horizon. Because we do have to understand that Sony did do a dedicated state of play for Horizon last year in, I think it was May. And at that time, they were looking to release that at the end of 2021. They didn't know it was going to be delayed. And then we found out it was delayed. Somebody's also saying, and we can't forget Project Spartacus. Exactly. So we have to think about that as well. Let me see. I will know a Kachoful. Again, thank you, man. Member for 7 months. Play has no limits. You're saying, hey, MBG, I know this is a gaming channel, but I have to write this. There is a real chance of military conflict to happen here in Europe because of Putin's irrational actions. I'm praying for peace. Well, you know what, man? To be honest, I try not to pay too much attention to that stuff because it's pretty anxiety. You know, it induces anxiety. And the thing about it is, like, we have no control whatsoever. And that's why I pretty much don't pay attention to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't control it. I can't control it. But I will agree with you. I'll pray for the same thing too. You know, I will hope that there doesn't have to be conflict and that these problems, these things, they can be resolved, amicably and hopefully without any type of serious conflict, man. So yeah, I feel you, brother. I feel you. But thank you for that. KD, you're saying don't entertain all this YouTuber back and forth because it's an endless loop of drama and it'll only attract more drama from content creators who thrive off of drama. Oh, absolutely, KD, absolutely. And I'm not trying to do that. You know, this is why, like, look, when people take their shots, because they take their shots, you know, there's really no reason for me to get overly defensive because they're going to take their shots regardless. I'm a human being. I will make mistakes. And, you know, when I do that, if people want to capitalize on it, there's nothing I can do. The only thing I can do is I'll try to learn, try to avoid that, try to be better in certain ways, right? I'm not going to worry about fighting or going to war with somebody. I know that hey, a lot of people consider it great entertainment, but that's not why I'm here. I'm here for gaming. I'm here to talk about games. I'm here to enjoy games. You know, contrary to what some people believe, it really is not just about a plastic box and like, yes, my plastic box is the best and my brand that I enjoy is the best all the time and it must be won. You know, we must win the war. No, it's not like that. I know it can come off that way sometimes, but believe me when I tell you, you know, there's a reason why I started this podcast for talking for like 40 minutes, 45 minutes about Sifu. Because that's what it's about, man. That right there is what it's about. So thank you for that. Nakamichi says, I took a stroll down memory lane a little bit ago. People were getting booty tickled. Oh, the terminology, bro. The terminology. People were getting booty tickled over Sony making an attempt to buy Take-Two, but praising Microsoft when they buy Bethesda and Activision Blizzard. Sifu Game of the Year. I'm glad you're enjoying Sifu. And that's just the name of the game, man. That's the name of the game when it comes to this type of stuff. You know, it's easy to be hypocritical. I have this saying where everybody is a hypocrite at one time or another. It's like part of being a human. You will be hypocritical. But the real goal is to try your best not to be and to learn, you know, what it means to be hypocritical and how to avoid that, right? And you see this all the time, right? You know, people getting upset because like Sony can't buy Take-Two. That's unfair. Like, no, it's not unfair. It depends. You can't say that it's fair for Microsoft to acquire Activision, Blizzard, and Bethesda, and then also be upset if whether it's Sony or somebody else acquires somebody like Take-Two or Capcom. You can't. You know what I mean? And to be honest, I think most rational people. I see somebody asking my thoughts on the Martha censorship. I already talked about that, buddy. And I'm not, you know, so if you want to, you have to come back and watch the podcast once it's over. But I spent a whole segment on that. So, you know, you gotta be willing to understand that, hey, you know, if Sony, a lot of people told me and others, hey man, it's totally cool if Microsoft starts buying studios left and right and publishers. You know why? And I'm sitting here, I'm like, why? Like, well, because Sony kept locking down third-party exclusives. Spider-Man exclusive. Now they're making a Wolverine, KOTOR remake, Final Fantasy VII, so on and so forth. And I'm like, well, I mean, it's hard for me to argue against that. I mean, I can say that those two things are not the same. They're just not the same. They're not. But at the same time, I can't sit here and say that, yeah, you know, I mean, look, come on, guys. Let's call a spade here. Let's call a spade a spade. People were kicking, and I was part of it. People were kicking Xbox when they were down, man. People were absolutely kicking Xbox when they were down. And you better believe, just like that Keith Crew skit, when Xbox calls up Jim Ryan, and he's like, yeah, I bet you had fun laughing at me all these years, huh? Bet you had fun. It's like, dude, they're coming back with a vengeance here, man. So, but actually, there is one of the topics we will talk about. You want to talk about hypocrisy, you know, because look, people are going to call me out on my hypocrisy occasionally. You better believe I'm also going to call not necessarily individual people out, but I'm going to call just groups of people out on their own hypocrisy, right? Because one of the things we've been talking about and the big conversation is, hey, you know, Microsoft bought Activision Blizzard. Those games are going to be exclusive to Xbox. Call of Duty's exclusive. PlayStation's dead. How many people were out here with the most, you know, hyperbolic statements, titles, whatever, tweets, whatever, maybe PlayStation straight up dead, bro. Xbox just killed PlayStation. I'm like, okay, guys, look, it's a big acquisition, but let's just a little bit, just a little bit here, okay? And I get it, but that's where it comes from. There's people who are getting like that. It's because of like, man, we were kicked while we were down. Everybody said Xbox has no games. Everybody's saying Xbox has no games. Well, guess what? We got those games now. Yeah, but it looks like a pretty damn good chunk of them aren't going to be exclusive. And I think that's okay. I think that's okay. So, thank you for that. I don't know how to... WRB Subi, I don't know, 19. I'm just reading your name as I can. Hey, MBG, big fan of your channel. Love your podcast. Well, thank you so much for that. Have you seen the trailers from the new game, Atomic Heart? It's looking very good. You know what? A lot of people were referring me to this game, and I haven't seen the trailer yet. I've seen it pop up on my YouTube feed a couple times, but I'm going to have to check it out because I have seen people talk about it, and I'm curious. You know, a lot of people are saying it looks really good, so I'll definitely look into it. So thank you for pointing that out. We have Big Norman 0518 saying, been a member for a long time. I am so ready for Horizon Forbidden West. I still don't have a PS5 yet, but I pre-ordered the PS4 Special Edition anyways because I got to play it. Dude, thank you for that, man. Yeah, the hype for Horizon Forbidden West is real, man. It is. And you know what I'm really curious about? I'm really curious to know if we are going to see a similar situation with Horizon Forbidden West that we saw with Spider-Man Miles Morales. And what I'm talking about is with Spider-Man Miles Morales, it became abundantly clear that the reason why that game had such a long tail sales-wise, because it's now number 3 in all-time revenue for PlayStation games, let that sink in, that's crazy, is because people were waiting to pick it up until they got a PS5. And we know that Horizon Forbidden West is also cross-gen, and I feel like I'm seeing a different response. And I'm actually going to put out a poll, if I can remember. I'm going to put out a poll tomorrow where I'm going to ask my audience, for those who are buying Horizon Forbidden West, what they're buying it on. And I think I'm going to put like 3 options. I'm going to put PS4, PS5, or waiting till I get a PS5, something along those lines. Like they're waiting till they get a PS5 to buy it for PS5. And I'm just going to be so curious to see what those results are. It'll be a small, pool of data to extract, but yeah, that's going to be fascinating to me because I'm assuming Sony made the right call. You know what I mean? I'm assuming that when Sony said, you know what, we're going to keep Horizon cross-gen, we're going to keep God of War cross-gen, we're going to make GT7 cross-gen, they're doing this because they know that there might be a struggle for people to get their hands on PS5s, and they don't want to miss out on sales. They have a whole install base of like 116 or 17 million people on PS4. They're assuming that these games are going to sell very well, very, very well on PS4. And I'm just going to be super interested to see when we get the data if that's true or not. Hopefully we get some good data on it. But I think people are actually impressed with Horizon on the PS4. We've seen both PS4 Pro gameplay and a little bit of PS4 gameplay. Now, I'm going to be honest, you can definitely see the difference between the PS5 version and the PS4 Pro and the PS4 version. Like, you can clearly see the difference. It's pretty big. But generally speaking, they ultimately do look like the same game, as in like the way it's going to play and just the overall aesthetic of the game, right? When you look at the PS5 version, I'm impressed by it. But I'm also still impressed with what Guerrilla Games can do with the PS4, even the base PS4. Like the fact that this game can run on the base PS4 is crazy, right? I mean, people are making jokes all over, and it's pretty funny where it's like, dude, your PS4 is going to sound like it's dying. It's going to be fighting for its life the whole time you're playing Horizon Forbidden West on your PS4. And I'm like, oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I gotta say, that is one thing I have taken for granted. I've taken for granted just how silent the PS5 is, man. Like, I've totally forgotten how damn annoying it was when playing the PS4 Pro, right? And it just sounds like a freaking air conditioner right next to me, like right there. I got to turn the volume all the way up on my sound bar just to, just to not hear that sound. And so it's really nice. I feel like I'm just thinking about it now because I'm like, I totally forgot that was a thing. But I heard there's 2 options for Horizon Forbidden West on PS5. There's going to be a 1440p 60 FPS mode, and there's also going to be a native 4K 30 FPS mode. So I'm going to ask you guys, which mode are you going to play in? Which mode are you going to play in? if you have a PS5. If you have a PS4 Pro, I'm pretty sure you're locked at 30. Obviously, with the PS4, you're locked at 30. Somebody says 30 FPS? Really? 60, 14. Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to be really happy that they're hitting 1440p. I told you guys, the last thing anybody wants with any PS5 game is 1080p 60. I mean, we'll take it if we have to, but we don't want that. We want a little bit higher than 1080p. I do see some people saying 30. That's interesting. I'm actually seeing more people than I expected saying 30. Wow. Kind of surprised. JDTV, you're saying, when will the clown costume return? People are starting to believe that MBG clown is only a legend. Only a legend. Yeah, dude, that's what's so funny is like eventually, I don't know when it's going to return. Maybe I won't let it return anytime soon because eventually I just want people to believe that that was a photoshopped image. And they'll have to really do some digging to discover, oh my God, it wasn't photoshopped. Maybe one day it will, though. Yeah, you know what? Honestly, it'll probably return the next time we know that Hideo Kojima is going to be at some kind of an event. And there's a good chance it'll return because you know we're going to be going into that event being like, here it is, guys. MBG, he's getting ready for Hideo Kojima, Silent Hill. And then it's like he comes out and announces Xbox game. I got to get off my chair, go get my clown costume, come back, So there's a good chance it could return, yeah. JDTV, you can't get over that, though. You cannot get over that I wore that clown costume. That's right. I'll take it to a level nobody else will. I'll embrace it. Turn it into an NFT. I should sell my clown costume image as an NFT. I'm gonna be totally honest right now. You would have to be a straight dumbass to buy an NFT of me in a clown costume. You really would, man. Come on. At that point, that's like a clown, buying an image of a clown. Oh, I hate NFTs. You'll buy Red Fire. You'll say you'll buy it. JDTV, you'll buy it. You know what? I take back what I said. How much you guys want? I'm just honestly, I couldn't sell an NFT. I couldn't do it. I would feel like I'm scamming somebody, man. I'm not even kidding. But then again, I don't know. If somebody were to offer me like, yo, I'll give you $100,000 for this clown MBG picture, I'd be like, well, okay then. Here you go, my friend. Here's your special NFT. I don't know. Don't even get me started. Brandon Michael, you're saying Sony censoring Martha is just going to push me away. How can anyone defend that? If Xbox did this, Sony fanboys would laugh, but now they defend a joke. Dude, you know what? I will agree, man. I will agree. And I'm going to do it. You ready? I'm going to do it. I'm going to call out the radical PlayStation fan base. I got to call you guys out. All right. You're making us look bad. Now, I've been there. I've made myself look bad at times. But this is where, if we're such big PlayStation fans, we have to take what Kratos said kind of seriously, right? Let's be better. Oh, I didn't read your whole super chat. Also, will member exclusive Discord be a thing? I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not even going to say anything about it. If it happens, it happens. But look, there are very few people that I'm referencing right now. There are very few people that I'm talking about. And the truth is, I'm probably not talking about most of you, but there are some people, dude. Like, I will admit, watching that Act-Man video, it makes me realize, you know what, Jesus, yeah, like people need to calm the fuck down, man, with this stuff because we are truly, some of us are just making it, just ruining it. Like, I can look at my tweet that I put out on Christmas and be like, that was pretty stupid. Like, that was pretty stupid. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't even maybe it was a little bit of a troll, but it's like, it was pretty stupid. And I can see why people are like, wow, that's dumb. But at some point, it's like, I'm getting not annoyed. It's not annoying because it's always been here, but it's like, I see it sometimes. And I'm like, guys, we got to stop at some point. You know what I'm saying? Like, for your own good, you got to stop. And I realized that a while ago where it's like, people would say to me, like, dude, look, we know MBG, we know that you had a rough time with Xbox and you moved over to PlayStation. And for a little while, I was like that guy, where I'm like, Xbox sucks. Xbox sucks. Like I had to always make it clear that, guys, I need to let you know Xbox sucks. And then eventually it just was people were like, dude, all right, man, like relax. We could give it a rest now. We get it. You don't have to like Xbox, bro. Just go enjoy PlayStation. I'm like, yeah, this is pretty stupid. Like I don't even know why. I remember a long time ago, I attempted to make a comparison between Death Stranding and Gears of War 5. And I look back and I'm like, the fuck was I thinking, man? Like why? Like, why would I ever do that? That, like, if I could go back in time, I'd slap myself upside the head and be like, don't be such a dumbass. But, dude, that's the human experience sometimes, man, But, guys, do me a favor. We have 1,100 people here hanging out and supporting the podcast. Thank you so much. Seriously, you guys are awesome every week. I appreciate it. Do me a favor. Please hit that like button. Can we get to 600 likes? Maybe 650. I think we can do it. But I'm trying to be, I'm just trying to be more self-aware, and less. I will admit there are times where I'm very easily influenced, and that can be a good and a bad thing. Sometimes being easily influenced is good because it means I'm able to more easily open my eyes to different things and see different perspectives and just, be more open-minded. But other times it can be very bad because then you're being too open-minded and you're doing, saying something stupid without even realizing you're saying something stupid or supporting something stupid. And so it's it's all just a learning process. But I do see a lot of people on Twitter and even, in my own comment sections and other people's comment sections. And it does get tiring, man. It does. Like, I don't want to be that person that comes out and is like, holy shit, PlayStation is God, like everything that's not PlayStation sucks ass. Like, I just don't want to be that guy because that's just not, like, that's just pretty stupid, I'd rather just be the person that's like, I mean, Horizon looks pretty awesome and I'm excited to play it. And we could just leave it at that. You know what I mean? Like, I see people like let's compare Horizon to Halo Infinite, and it's like, yeah, come on. Like, what are we even doing here? What are we even doing here? So it is what it is, man. And I'm trying to set a better example, I guess. That's my goal. Okay, so we're only 11 likes away from 600, by the way. Next up, KD, you're saying LMAO, the PS4 Pro sounding like a helicopter, was added immersion while playing Modern Warfare 2019. Well, there you go, man. Talk about seeing the glass half full. That's it right there, buddy. Ivanoa Kachofel should be 4K 60. I mean, yeah, but 1440p at 60 frames is pretty good. I mean, if they could have got it up to 1800p, but it's an open world game and it looks like there's a lot on screen. So, I'm okay. I'm okay with 1440p 60. I'm okay with that. As long, like, if Sony came out and was like, yeah, Horizon's going to be 1080p 60, I'd be like, no, that's not good. That's not good, Sony. Come on. Rory Grimstraw, you're saying the only difference is resolution, 60, if not 30. Okay. John O, you're saying, MBG, have you heard any updates on CY Games Project Awakening? Are they still even making that game? Because it looked amazing years ago. So they are still making it, believe it or not. But I haven't heard anything in a long time. I think the last thing we got from Project Awakening was actually sometime last year, where they basically showed a developer video of how they are making the world and the landscapes and the vegetation and whatnot. And that's the last I remember hearing of it, but they are still making it. At this point, it's safe to say it's going to be, it's going to be a PS5 game. It was announced, I think, as like a PS4 title, but it's going to have to be a PS5 game at this point for sure. So it's still being made. I hope to see more of it too, because I think it looks really good as well. Like, it looks like it has a ton of potential for sure. KD, you're saying, nah, MBG, your tweet was a funny jab. We putting an X through all these Xbots all generation until their numbers drop like Halo Infinite's player count. Bro, how are you gonna come at me with a super chat like that after my speech? Granted, I think you put that super chat in before I said that speech, so that's understandable. But I get it, man. Like, it's one of these things where it's easy, I think, to get kind of caught up in it because it really depends on how you view it. Like, KD, I'm assuming you're not like dead serious right now. Like, nah, man, Xbox players should just die. You know what I mean? Like, that'd be kind of creepy. Like, what? Dude, are you okay? Are you feeling okay? Like, I know you're not like that, but I assume it's just more like, it's funny. It's like, you know, when you're talking about rooting for a sports team and you're talking about your rival team and, you know, taking jabs and having some fun. But I think that that's the problem, and I'll always say this, is that, like, it really is the saying, like, it just takes a few bad apples to ruin them all, you know, where you could have a group of people that are having a good time, making some jokes, it's pretty lighthearted, it's, you know, all in the name of fun, and then you get, like, a couple people who are, like, coming in and just ruining it by just being way over the top and being malicious about it, and it's like, okay, well, fun's over because we can't do that anymore. So, all right. Question mark, you're saying, what's up, bro? Sorry I'm late. What's going on? I saw the Sifu gameplay just from watching. It does remind you of another game called Invisible Tiger from Xbox 360. I never heard of that game. That's interesting. I never heard of that game. But somebody's saying talk about PlayStation. It's on fire. No, dude, PlayStation's literally on fire. Like, I think PlayStation HQ is on fire right now, bro. They're trying to put out. I'm kidding. In case you don't know. But yeah, I mean, you didn't really. I'm not gonna lie. You missed a pretty decent chunk of the podcast. We're like 2 hours in, but I did that thing again. And this happens every single podcast. I'm not saying I wish it didn't, but man, it makes it feel like I'm just terrible at managing my own podcast because I just get so derailed and sidetracked. And so we are gonna get it back on track right now. Okay, so here's what I want to talk about. I'm going to read this paragraph that I typed up. We are days away from Horizon Forbidden West releasing, and the hype is real. Sony is ramping up the marketing, and fans are excited. Sony revealed that Horizon Zero Dawn has sold 20 million copies since launch and totaled over 1 billion hours of playtime. This is what it's all about when it comes to PlayStation. This is why PlayStation fans get so excited. Big AAA high-quality releases that you know will likely live up to expectations. Now, here's what I want to say. All right. First of all, Horizon Zero Dawn hitting 20 million is an incredible feat. And I hate that when we talk about this, we see groups of people, granted, they're not large groups, but it kind of speaks to what we were talking about. My son is throwing a tantrum out there right now, by the way. If you hear that and it comes through the mic, I apologize because it's very loud on my end. So I don't know how loud it is on the microphone end. I'm going to say this every time just because I know that what you guys hear is different from what I hear, but I can't help it. But anyway, these groups of people that I'm speaking about, it's like Herman Holst and Guerrilla Games, they come out and they're like, guys, we hit 20 million copies sold of Horizon Zero Dawn. And you just have to get these people that come out and they're like, damn, that's pathetic. Or like, that's weak. Or like, that's thanks to PC. And I'm like, guys, like, I think what's so bad about it is these people who are saying this, they're either trolling, which is more likely, or they just literally don't understand the industry at all. 20 million copies of a new IP is insane. And it's not even that old. It's what? Been 17, 18, it's been like 4 years. Well, it'll be about 5 years. It's been about 5 years since Horizon Zero Dawn released. And dude, I just don't think people comprehend, man. Like 20 million copies of a game sold. And yes, PC did help that. There's no doubt about it. Like if anything, it releasing on PC helped push it over that edge where it's like, maybe it was at 18 million. And ever since it released on PC, it racked up enough sales where now it crossed the 20 million. That's crazy, man. That's crazy, you know? And I just think that that's something that's absolutely worth celebrating, because this is the stuff that we like to see from PlayStation. And this is why I say PlayStation is on fire, because, you know, I'm over here playing Sifu, but on top of that, we got Horizon Forbidden West coming out. And then we're hearing that a game like Horizon Zero Dawn just crossed 20 million. You know, this is what I want to continue to see Sony do. I'm going to be honest right now, and this is why it's difficult for me to hold conversations with people who are just constantly criticizing PlayStation, and specifically me and my audience here, because it's like, I'm going to tell you how I see things. I wake up to the news, well, you know, it's last month at this point. It's crazy to think, but, you know, Microsoft buys Activision Blizzard, and people are just losing their ever-loving minds. And I get it. Like, I was there, man. Like, yeah, that's crazy. That is bonkers. Who would have seen that coming? I didn't. And but then the conversation begins to escalate. And it escalates to this point where it's like, holy shit, Xbox made the big comeback. And then people get on my case because I'm over here confused, where I'm like, I'm not trying to be that guy, but I'm like, that's great, man. Like, congratulations. Xbox bought another publisher, and Sony will buy probably more studios. But I just feel like I have to look at people and just say to them, like, but do you see these games, right? Like, you see the games that are coming now? Maybe? Do you see that? And I'm not trying to be rude about it. That's the thing. I'm just literally trying to make it clear to people that what this is about is what we're experiencing right now. Like this, right now, this month, these past 2 weeks. Games like Sifu dropping. Games like Horizon Forbidden West. Right? Games like Elden Ring. And I get that, and I admit, like, I thrust myself fully into these conversations about acquisitions, and is Sony going to buy a publisher? Maybe Sony shouldn't buy a publisher. What's Sony going to do next? Guys, I'm not making it sound like I'm not fully engaged and engrossed in these conversations. But when you kind of, like, you know, when the dust settles at the end of the day, I got to call it. I'm going to call it right now. Okay? I'm going to call it. At the end of the day, on February 13th, 2022, when I'm done this podcast, I'm going to play more Sifu. By the end of this week, on February 18th, I'm going to be booting up Horizon Forbidden West. And if I so desire, just a week and a half, or not a week and a half, just a couple weeks after that, on March 4th, I can boot up GT7. And then a couple weeks after that, I can boot up Ghostwire Tokyo. And then, but probably a month and a half later, as long as it doesn't get delayed, I can boot up Forspoken if I so desire. And then we got God of War to look forward to after that. Okay? And then there's probably more titles that Sony has coming. And Elden Ring. Yeah, I know Elden Ring is an exclusive, but I have to keep throwing that out there because I'm sorry. Everybody should play Elden Ring. And then there's probably more games we don't know about that are going to be announced. Probably, you know, you would assume in the next 3 to 4 months, right? That are coming at the second half of this year. And when I look over at Xbox, again, I know it's like impossible for me not to come off as the console war guy saying this, but I'm saying this not to be a dick. I'm saying it to just get people to chill the fuck out with the chest beating on both sides. Like, guys, if you're a PlayStation fan and all the games I just announced, you're like, hell yeah, we eating good. Just be happy about it, man. Like, we don't have to be dickheads about it. But to all those people, okay? To all those people who came my way when Microsoft bought Activision, and they're just they're trolling me, they're memeing me, they're oh man, I bet you're crying now. How's that Crossfire X going? Is that good? Going good? Good game? Game Pass? Yeah, good. Having fun? I'm serious. Are you? Because this is why I had to refrain so much the past week from just going in so hard on this, because I shit you not, I have had people come at me, not many, but they are there. They have come at me using a game like Crossfire X to be like, well, you know what? And I'm like, hold on. No, just no. I can't do this. Like, this is what I'm talking about, man. You want to talk about Starfield? That's awesome. I'm excited for you. That's great. I am sure Starfield will be a good game. At the very least, it will be a good game. Phil Spencer just said he hopes Starfield will be the most played Bethesda game. And you know what? I'm sure it will be. And Xbox fans, Microsoft fans, Game Pass subscribers will have something great to look forward to. And I am fucking happy for them. And if more games come before that, like in October, I know that game Scorn is supposed to come out. I don't know if that's going to be good or not, but Redfall might come out, and I hope that's good too, man. Right? But to all these motherfuckers who come my way and are just looking the shit on me just to get a piece of fucking shit like Crossfire X, I don't feel bad. I don't feel bad. You come to me, you brag about your $1 subscription to fucking Game Pass, have fun with Crossfire X. I'm going to be over here. I'm going to be playing Sifu. I'm going to be playing Horizon Forbidden West. I'm going to be playing Elden Ring. I'm going to be, well, maybe at some point I'll play GT7. But this is just where it's like, I can't take these people seriously, even though they want me to take them seriously. I got this article up right here. Crossfire X issues at launch, including not working on Game Pass. Fixes are promised. Let me see. Today marked the release of Crossfire X, the new Xbox exclusive shooter co-developed by Remedy Entertainment. Although you'd be forgiven if you realize it, there are no reviews for the game. Codes were held back, and it was released without a lot of promotion. Well, it seems there's likely a reason for that. Early impressions from fans are not good, with many criticizing the game for lack of content, shoddy controls, and missing options you'd usually expect from a AAA shooter. Worst of all, while the game was supposed to be available on Xbox Game Pass Day 1, many subscribers are having trouble accessing it. The official Crossfire X Twitter account has promised a solution for the Game Pass issues. So, look, before people get, all worked up or whatever, I want to make it clear, when I'm talking, the people that I'm speaking to right now are not normal Xbox fans. Normal Xbox fans are out here being like, yo, Crossfire sucks. What the hell is this? All right. Normal Xbox fans are aware. And actually, normal Xbox fans are actually voicing some criticisms to Xbox right now, where it's like, hey, that's great that you're buying Activision and you're buying studios and whatnot, but can you kind of like try to spread your games out more? So like, if you notice with Xbox, there's a pattern where everything is releasing like in the last few months of the year, like right next to each other, to where Sony has done a very good job, in my opinion, of spreading things out. And there are a lot of normal Xbox fans, normal gamers, who are basically just saying, yeah, Crossfire, you shouldn't put that kind of shit on Game Pass. That actually makes Game Pass look worse, makes Xbox look bad. And instead, you should try to get, these other games that you have, try to spread them out a little bit more if it's possible. And I have said, and I want this to go on record, I have said, I think this is a problem that Xbox will correct. I just need to say that, because I know people are going to be like, oh, well, 2023. Absolutely. I think Microsoft's going to get better at it. But I just have to talk about this, because before you get on me and say, oh, well, of course you'll shit on Crossfire X because it's a bad game that's on Xbox, but you won't say anything good about Halo. Actually, Actually, I'm pretty sure I went on record multiple times since the release of Halo Infinite saying, hey, it seems to me like people are pretty happy with it. It seems to me like 343 Industries actually made a pretty good Halo game and people are mostly satisfied. Maybe the multiplayer is dying. But putting that aside, you know, I can't speak to the campaign. I've just heard people I'm going to be honest, I haven't heard good things about Halo's campaign. But the point I'm trying to get at is when I say PlayStation is on fire, I'm not referring to a subscription service. I'm not referring to who they're buying. I'm not referring to all this outside shit that really isn't what it's about at the end of the day. I'm referring to the exact thing that it's supposed to be about at the end of the day. Playing good video games. And I just had to say it, man. I had to say it because I thought about making a video, but you know, I'm trying to get away from the bullshit of like, you know, I made my videos on Crackdown 3 back in the day and I could maybe make another video here, but here's why. Do you want to know why I'm not going to make a video on it? You want to know why I'm not going to keep going on and on? It's because I actually do think, and this is going to sound crazy, and if anybody clips me, they won't fucking clip this. They won't clip this. I actually think Xbox has some pretty awesome games coming down the line. I do. Like, and I'm telling you, man, I'm not even excited for Starfield, but I think Starfield's going to be big. And I think it's going to be a successful game for Xbox and Game Pass. And I'm just saying, man, like these dudes out here, I just can't escape the irony. That's all I'm saying. I can't escape the irony of, a couple weeks ago, everybody's like, yes, like Activision Blizzard, baby, let's go. Xbox is fucking on fire. And I'm like, if by on fire, you mean they literally have nothing coming out and the one thing they had coming out is a fucking disaster. Okay, yeah, you're right. They're actually on fire. I just get frustrated because it's like, I know that I give into these conversations too much. I know that people are like, oh, dude, I thought you didn't care about acquisitions. Why are you talking about them so much? Look, I want to be part of the conversation. I'm going to be part of it. But, you know, we have to understand that Sony's going to have their downs. Microsoft's going to have their downs. And if there's one thing I've learned is, you know, I'm not going to come out here and say, yo, let me tell you something. Horizon Forbidden West, it's going to shit on anything Xbox releases this year. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say it because I don't fucking know. And I'm not going to pretend to know. But the reason why I'm saying this now is because I do know. I do know that Activision Blizzard was purchased. And I do know that a shit ton of people come at me, bragging to me, showing me all the charts and all the pictures, as I said, saying, bro, these games are ours now, man. Sucks to be a PlayStation fan. Sucks for you guys. Just for Xbox to come out and say, by the way, yeah, these games are still coming to PlayStation. And I'm going to keep the same energy. Doesn't really matter that much to me because I was never really that into Activision Blizzard games. Call of Duty's still releasing on PlayStation? Cool. If they said tomorrow it's not, no skin off my sack, not a big deal. I don't care. You know? But all these dudes who are coming at me, talking this shit, right? Throwing this in my face, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. And I say maybe you're right because look at what they did with Bethesda. But they made it clear. All this, all the excitement, all the big oomph that all these dudes had, all these, you know, you talk about cringe fanboys, they all had it. That's right, baby. Activision exclusive to Xbox, Call of Duty exclusive, Crash Bandicoot, Guitar Hero, Comeback, the whole thing. Look, I'm sure some games will be exclusive to Activision, but the fucking irony that just a couple weeks later, not only are these games not going to be exclusive, at least most of them, or the bigger ones that you thought were going to be exclusive, but you get your big Game Pass game in Crossfire X, and it's a fucking, it's a literal clown show, bro. So all I'm trying to say is all these dipshits that keep coming my way on Twitter, on YouTube, and not just my way. They're not just coming my way, but I see them all over. I know people want to talk shit about PlayStation fanboys. Don't get me wrong. We can be just as bad at times. I see some really cringe PlayStation fanboys saying some dumb shit out there. But when I see this, like just the amount, the colossal amount of bullshit that I've seen the past couple of weeks, just to see it all blow up. Well, that's how it goes, isn't it? That's how it goes. So I don't know, man. I know I'm really going off here, and I wasn't. Look, I wasn't planning on going going in this much, but it's just we have to learn. Not just we. A lot of people hearing this probably already know this, but people have to be able to know when to just stop, you know? And I say this as somebody who has learned the hard way when I didn't stop and I kept going. And then people were like, just stop, man, you know? Like, just stop. And I get it. But this rant, I think, is justified. I think this rant is justified because, again, I'm talking about the shit that I know right now. And if you ask me what I don't know, that's exactly what I'm going to tell you. I don't know. I don't know how Horizon's going to review tomorrow. I'll give you my best guess. I'm going to say Horizon is going to review pretty damn well. I'm going to say Horizon will likely be a Game of the Year contender. I'm going to say Horizon will likely be a game that people are still talking about at the end of the year and maybe even into next year. That's what I'm going to say. Now, if you want to ask me, well, what about Xbox's games? What about them? Xbox's games aren't coming out until the end of the year, okay? And it looks like at least a few of them have a pretty good chance. But they're so far away and we've seen so little, it's impossible to have that conversation. So I am talking about here and now. I'm talking about what happened a couple weeks ago, and I'm talking about here and now. And that's what it is, man. That's what it is. You know? So, just like people want to throw at my face, well, you all wanted to say Xbox has no games. Well, look, they got games. Yeah, you're right. When I said Xbox, well, first of all, I never said Xbox has no games. I said Xbox doesn't really have any good games. But when they finally were like, you know what, we're going to do something, Xbox goes out and they buy their games. They buy their games, and that's what they do. They buy their games, and that's fine. That's fair. That's fair. Fair game. Not really what I meant, but that's fine. And so if you guys want to celebrate that. But just be careful. Just be careful because you're right. You're right. I did ask for competition. And this is competition. Make no mistake. But what we're seeing right now in February is also competition. This is called PlayStation. I'm going to get to your super chat. Sorry, guys. I'm just saying this is called PlayStation doing what they should be doing. Releasing some awesome fucking games. And as a PlayStation fan, I am excited and I'm happy. And I feel frankly bad. I feel genuinely bad for any Xbox fan. And I'm being genuine when I say this. I feel sorry for anybody because I know what it's like. Who is sitting here actually excited for Crossfire. Can you imagine that, man? Can you imagine that? Like, can you imagine if you were looking forward to this game and it's like, it's so bad, people don't even want to play it for free, man. That sucks. And that's where, like, you know, I'm sorry, man. Like this, it's when I see stuff like that where I'm like, you gotta just not associate that stuff with Game Pass, man. You gotta not associate that stuff with Game Pass. So many people were like, Returnal looks so bad. Returnal does not look worth $70. And you know what? That's fair. I get that. For some people, Returnal isn't going to be worth $70. But man, how bad is it when you're getting a game that's so bad, you don't even want to play it for free? Holy hell, dude. I am just, oh man. Wouldn't be a Press X podcast episode without a rant. Trying to get to my super chats here. I apologized. Okay, John O, I'm sorry, dude. You're saying last one for the day. I feel I'm hogging the super chat, LOL, with Sony fully into Horizon Zero Dawn. Do you think we will see a movie or show in the future? I think for sure. Horizon's one of Sony's biggest franchises, one of their biggest brands. You're going to see that taken over to a, whether it's, I don't know if a movie's, I think a TV show is probably more likely, but we're going to see that. Absolutely. Question mark says, sorry, that was Invisible Tiger. Make the comparison between Sifu. And then we have Perfect Image saying, I'm having a good time with PlayStation. The IPS man, the IPS man. I don't know what you're saying, bro. KD, you're saying $180 a year for Crossfire X, 3-month exclusive Stalker 2, and another. Oh yeah, I forgot Stalker 2. Isn't Stalker 2 coming out in December? I think. And another DOA co-op plus buggy Bethesda RPG. Well, see, that's the thing I'm trying to say, KD, is like we can look at Crossfire X and we can unequivocally say failure. Crossfire X is a failure. All right. I gave Xbox its credit for Game Pass with games like Forza Horizon 5 and even Halo Infinite. But I'm also going to point out the bad stuff when we get it too, and yes, Crossfire X is bad. Now you're talking about Stalker 2, you're talking about Redfall, and you're talking about Starfield. Now I'm going to say, dude, like, so Microsoft has a good chance. Now I know I just went in really hard, but I got to be fair. Microsoft has a very good chance of having a good holiday season this year, for sure. Absolutely. But, I don't know when the next Xbox game's coming out. And Crossfire X, as far as I'm aware, is like the only thing for a long time, man. So, I guess I'm just going to say that I think that Xbox needs to have a really stellar holiday, man, because Sony's coming out swinging, bro. Sony's coming out swinging. For real. You're saying March? Tunic is next? I think I know what that. When does that come out? I think Tunic probably has some potential. I've seen that game a little bit. That does look like it could be pretty good for sure. But India. Oh yeah, dude, I forgot they have an Indiana Jones game. They have an Indiana Jones game. You continue by saying y'all better beat those third-party games before they leave Game Pass 2. Best deal in gaming. Dude, look, I'm not. I can't, man. I just can't do it. I cannot sit here and tell myself and, just lie to myself and be like, yeah, dude, my phone must be listening to me because it just recommended me this article. I'm not even kidding. I'm looking at my phone and it says Crossfire X continues to suffer outage issues on Xbox Game Pass. What a joke, dude. You cannot convince me that I should embrace services as the future of how I consume video games. You just can't do it, man. I'm sorry. It can't be done because I don't believe it. I'm going to be paying so close attention to Xbox at the end of this year, man, because I want to see it. You want to give me Halo, you want to give me Forza and tell me that Game Pass is great? Fine. Forza and Halo were always meant to be successful regardless. I want to see the new shit. I want to see what a new AAA IP looks like on a fucking gaming subscription service for $10 a month. That's what I want to see. I want to see it because I won't believe it until I see it, man. And I get so passionate about this. You're saying, Jesus, why do I care? Dude, because this shit, I don't want a future for gaming where it's, oh man, how cheap is it though? You know what I mean? Like, I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want the race to the bottom. I want quality. And I just want to make sure that this shit doesn't infect PlayStation, where PlayStation starts to feel like, oh yeah, well, we got to compete with Game Pass. Like, no, not yet. Maybe in the future if it proves it, but you're saying you can still buy games, bro. It's not just about being able to buy games. It's about the quality. It's about maintaining the quality of these games. That's all it is. Like you would never fucking see a game like Horizon Forbidden West in Game Pass. You never ever will see that. You won't see it. You won't see a game like Horizon Forbidden West in Game Pass. You won't. And I dare Microsoft to prove me wrong. And if they prove me wrong, then I'm humbled. But you're not going to see it. You're not going to see it. You'll see something that could maybe almost be as good as Horizon, but it still won't reach that level. You're saying, is Halo Infinite high quality? I can't really say for sure because I haven't played it myself. But based off of what people are telling me, it's kind of in the middle. Like, people are saying that it's good, it's fun to play, but it's lacking in a lot of areas, especially the campaign. And, I can't, that's all I can say. That's what I've heard. But I'm not here to make the comparison between Halo Infinite and Horizon. I'm not doing that. That's bait. I'm not doing that. But what I will say is you're not going to see a game like Horizon Forbidden West in Game Pass. You won't. You won't see a game like God of War Ragnarok in Game Pass. And that's why until I see it, I'm never going to be pro Game Pass, pro subscription service model. I'm not. Now, the one game I will be paying extremely close attention to is probably Starfield, but more importantly than Starfield, Hellblade. I say this because I think the developers of Hellblade recently came out and they said that Hellblade 2 is going to make Hellblade 1 look like an indie game. And I'm like, oh, okay. You got my attention now. That's what I like to hear. So basically what they're saying is it's going to be huge, right? Like that's what they're implying. It's going to be huge. And I'm like, a single player, narrative driven, dark, gritty game. I'm going to be honest. Hellblade 2 straight up looks like the type of game that a PlayStation studio would develop. If they can that game reach the same heights as games like Horizon, as games like God of War? I don't know. Like I said, I don't know these things, but I am intrigued and I am fascinated and I want to see, because maybe Hellblade 2 could be that game that proves me wrong, that humbles me and makes me realize, you know what? These types of games can exist on a subscription service. People talk about Project Spartacus, and I see all these fools coming at me where they're like, oh, when subscription services are made, Xbox bad subscription service, PlayStation good. Yeah, no, I'm not fucking saying that, and most people aren't. Not sure where you're getting that from. Most people are like, oh yeah, I'll see what it is. I'll see what Sony's doing. But this is where I say, like, guys, did you see MLB The Show? Do you notice how just like that, it's announced, not only is it coming to Xbox, it's going to Nintendo Switch, and it's still releasing in Game Pass on day one. A PlayStation Studios title is launching day one into Game Pass, but on PlayStation, you have to pay full price. Let me ask you, why do you think Sony doesn't give a flying fuck about this and has done nothing? Why do you think Sony is not coming out and saying, well, we're going to match Game Pass's offer for our own game and we're going to put it on PlayStation Plus day one? Why do you think they're not doing that? Because when you look at the sales data, do you realize that pretty much just as many people who normally buy the show full price on PlayStation continued to do so, even though it was available day one on Game Pass? And this is why I'm just trying to communicate that if there's one thing I'm beginning to see with the PlayStation fan base and the PlayStation community, whether or not Sony sees this as the future or not remains to be seen. I'm not saying I'm speaking for Sony. I'm just speaking based off of what I see with the data. People, PlayStation fans, not people, PlayStation owners, and most of them, PlayStation fans, seem to just prefer buying their games and owning them. Most, not all, but most. Like, the data indicates that Sony is totally okay not following Xbox's lead with this. That's what I'm trying to communicate. Because if there was ever an example where Sony should have, and very likely could have reacted to Game Pass, it's that right there. And we're in the second year. We're in the second year where a PlayStation game. We're in the second year where a PlayStation game is dropping day one into Game Pass. And Sony is just like, okay, we're going to do nothing. You're saying that's nonsense, MBG, nonsense. Why? Why is that nonsense, though? I'm saying that, dude, if Sony saw a massive drop in sales for MLB The Show last year on PlayStation because people were flocking to Game Pass to play it, you better believe Sony would have scrambled to do something this year, knowing it's happening again, to mitigate that. You're saying it saves us money, and that's great. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. And I would love an ideal world. And maybe we can get this, where we can have a gaming subscription service where you can save money and you can still buy and own your games, even physically. And this is the important part, and the quality of those games never drops. But do you see the problem here? That's all I'm trying to point out, is that doesn't that sound a little too good to be true? It sounds a little too good to be true to me. I know people call me a fearmonger and a doubter and a doomer or whatever. Maybe I am to an extent, but I can't help it. You know? I like what I like. I'm passionate about what I like, and I don't like to see the threat of something else looming where it's like, we're going to shake this shit up and change it. And I'm like, but this is why I come out here and I am, you're saying MBG has an Xbox. I'm going to get to the super chats, guys. I apologize. MBG has an Xbox games quality increase since they started Game Pass. I will admit that Xbox is, well, not counting Crossfire X. We won't talk about Crossfire X. But I mean, look, I have faith that Xbox's quality in general can and will increase. But there's a difference between seeing Xbox increase their quality from games like what we were once getting, like Crackdown and State of Decay 2, right? Those are the two games that I remember playing and paying full price on Xbox. There's a difference between seeing an increase in quality from that to something like definitely better versus getting an increase in quality to where, I gotta be real here, guys. This is not console war bullshit. It's just real. Can Sony or can Microsoft, can any of their studios produce a video game that is on the same quality level as what we see with many of PlayStation studios? I am not convinced of that. And I am convinced that if they could, Game Pass wouldn't exist. Because it would be Xbox selling tens of millions of units. It would be Xbox coming out saying, our game just sold 20 million units. But they're not. I know people talk about Game Pass and they're like, well, Microsoft just saw the future, but I need people to always understand. You have to go back to the root. You have to retrace the steps. What led to the creation of Game Pass? What led Xbox to where they are now versus what led PlayStation to where they are now? And when you identify the difference between those two, this isn't about a console war. This isn't about people fighting over plastic boxes. Because I know that there's so many people out there who like to just shit on the way people like me talk just because we're passionate. It's not about that. It's about games. It's about the fucking games, people. We live in a day and age where publishers are willing to literally sacrifice all single-player games for the sake of the microtransaction dollar, right? They're willing to just completely say, they're willing to just come out of fucking nowhere and be like, NFTs, we're all in. They're willing to just say, you know what, we're going to go all free to play. And this is why when I see PlayStation fans get seriously concerned about Sony coming out and being like 10 live service games, baby, multiplayer. I feel for those fans who are nervous because I get that. I don't want to see that future either where Sony finds their own GTA Online and says single player games, fuck that shit. We're making bank with our online game service game. Like, do people not realize, like, everybody wants to get, I'm not trying to be negative here, but I have to call it as it is. Everybody wants to get so hyped. Oh my God, Rockstar Games acknowledged that they're developing GTA 6. Like, guys, whoa, can we just acknowledge how fucking long it's been since Rockstar Games did anything with the GTA franchise when it comes to single player? Can we acknowledge that? And people want to get so excited, and people think I'm stupid because I'm saying, what if GTA 6 doesn't have a normal single player? People think that that's so crazy. No, it's not. People on Red Dead Redemption online, I know it's online, but they are begging on their knees, begging Take-Two and Rockstar to acknowledge them and do something more for them, and they're just being shit on, bro. They are being completely ignored. Their cries and their pleas mean dick to that company because the only thing that matters is Take-Two Interactive. They have their investor call and they reveal, here's how much money GTA just made for us. And we didn't have to do anything, or we just had to make some DLC, some online DLC, right? And some more cosmetic, shark cards, whatever, man. You know, you see this shit. And GTA 5 is still selling like crazy. How? How and why? How is it still selling this crazy? I'm going on this big rant because I'm just simply trying to say that as a gamer, okay? As a gamer, I hope that PlayStation, what they're about to do now, in just a week, they're about to, you're saying, bro, calm down. It's okay, man. It's okay. This is cathartic for me. PlayStation, at the end of this upcoming week on Friday, is going to release Horizon Forbidden West. This is I'm going to say it, it's like a quadruple A, right? I'll just do it. Why not? It's a quadruple A single player game with a massive world that's been in development for years. And you can tell the developers have put their blood, sweat, and tears, and they will not ever willingly put out this game until it's fucking done and ready and 100% good to go, or at least close to it. They've made sure of this. And when people want to turn to me and be like, have fun paying $70, yes, I will. Abso-fucking-lutely, I will pay $70 for this. Or, well, I guess in the case of Horizon, you get the free upgrade, so you pay $60. But either way, thank you, Gorilla. Thank you, PlayStation. And I don't give a shit if somebody wants to think that's cringe, blah, blah, blah. I don't fucking care. I don't. What I care about is the experience I'm going to get, because that's exactly right there. That is exactly what I want. Meanwhile, again, Crossfire X over on Xbox. Dude, I'm not going to lie. I have considered dusting off my Xbox to try and play Crossfire X, because I almost feel like it would be fun. Like, if it's that bad, it would almost be fun to see what it's like. I mean, think about that. MBG finally goes to Game Pass. What did it? What roped him in? Crossfire X, because it's so bad. He needs to go see how bad it is. Look, man, I just feel like when I say PlayStation is on fire, and I'm going to get to these super chats, guys. I'm going to get to these super chats. When I say PlayStation's on fire, I don't want that to come off as like I'm a fanboy cheerleading. I know that's how it's going to come off, but basically what I'm trying to say is PlayStation continues to do what I, as a fan and as a gamer, really hope that they would continue doing, and they are doing it. When I bought a PS5, this is one of the reasons why I bought a PS5, to experience games like this. I mean, we talk about Returnal, we could talk about Ratchet and Clank, but let's be honest, Horizon is the next level. Horizon is the game we've been waiting for. and knowing that there's a very, very, very good chance that it's going to live up to hype and expectation. I don't know, man. I'm excited to get my physical copy of Horizon, pop that disc in my PS5, sit back and just go, man. And just go. Mom, can I have Call of Duty? Son, we have Call of Duty at home. Crossfire X. You're saying the campaign of Crossfire X is actually good? It's made by Remedy? Really? I mean, I would be interested to see somebody review the campaign. I would be interested to see the campaign review, because Remedy, yeah, dude, that's why I'm so confused a little bit about Crossfire, because it's like, but Remedy's pretty good, aren't they? Did you know YouTube put Crossfire X in the description of your stream? Of course they did. The campaign is horrible. Well, all right. I don't know, man. I mean, I think I'm gonna check really quick just because I'm curious. Crossfire X Metacritic. Let's see if any reviews came out yet. Oh my God. It's sitting at a 2.4 based off of 80 user ratings. People aren't even taking time to review bomb it. It's that bad. There's only 80 user ratings. Holy shit. A 2.2 on the Xbox One. I think, you know what? I think Microsoft, I'm going to be honest. I think at this point, it's such a bad look. Xbox should just get rid of it and be like, you know what, guys? Just like Sony did with Cyberpunk on PlayStation, Microsoft should just be like, you know what? This isn't even worthy of Game Pass. This isn't even worthy of a $10 subscription. They should. I think that would be smart. All right. Let me get to these super chats. iSalary18, you're saying, so wait, Phil wants Starfield to be the most played, and it's not on PlayStation. Okay, LOL. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, there's like, what, 20 million, 23 million subs on Game Pass? I think it could be the most played. I don't know, actually. Yeah, that's a very big install base, PlayStation's install base that they're missing. So we'll see, man. We'll see what happens. We'll see if his dreams come true. Magnum Visuals said the fact that you can fly in Horizon Forbidden West is the icing on top. Yeah, dude. I mean, it's pretty much come out that you can ride flyable mounts. You can ride the Sunwings. That's pretty much common knowledge at this point, from what I'm being told. So, yeah, dude, that's pretty awesome, because we were convinced. I remember I said a long time ago. I don't know how many of you guys listening to this remember. By the way, guys, hit that like button for me. We're over 700 likes, which is awesome. Can we get to 800 before this podcast ends? I think we can. But I remember a while ago, and this was quite some time ago, when we first learned that Horizon Forbidden West would be cross-gen, I remember saying something along the lines of, man, it's going to be... You're saying, what if the flying is scripted events? That would be like... It would be good and bad, because it's like, well... It's better than nothing. It's better than no flying at all. But if it was scripted, it'd be like, oh man, that's such a missed opportunity. But I remember saying that one of the things that I wanted to really see with Horizon, it being cross-gen, is we knew from what Guerrilla Games said in the past that due to the limitations of the PS4 at the time, they couldn't get flying to work. And I was like, well, if Forbidden West is going to be cross-gen, there's a good chance we won't be able to fly at all. You know? And so if we get like that little surprise where it's like, yo, we made it happen. It would be funny if you couldn't fly on the PS4 version. That would actually be a pretty cool PS5 exclusive right there. KD, you're saying, talk your shit, MBG, let's go. Space Gambler Jr., member 13 months, plays no limits. Thank you, buddy. You're saying Xbox is like us. They buy their games. Yeah, good point, man. Xbox does believe in buying games still. Good one. JDTV, you're saying, look at Angry Joe's tweet about Crossfire X. I might go check that out, because that's probably pretty funny. Let me find it. I'm on Angry Joe's Twitter. Good God. Crossfire X is straight trash. How is this franchise popular anywhere? That's funny, dude. That's funny. Oh, man. Dunking on Crossfire X isn't even about necessarily dunking on Xbox. It's just the fact that it's like launching in the Game Pass that I think is the irony. But I don't know, man. Once I heard that isn't Crossfire X like a Chinese free-to-play game or something? Am I like completely off the mark with that? But I swear that's what that game is. And when I heard that, I was like, yeah, that's going to be garbage. Xbox or not, like that's going to be straight garbage. I don't know if I'm wrong, but Magnum Visuals, you're saying Starfield is not proof that Game Pass is successful because the game was already planned to be sold before the acquisition. Yeah, that's true. I'm trying to give Xbox more leeway, but that is true. That's why I don't know, man. I want to see I just want to see Microsoft release a game that looks like it's on the same quality level as a PlayStation Studios game into Game Pass, because that would be crazy. Like, I would legitimately have to ask, how did they do that? Like, I didn't think that could be done. And I think that if anything, that would put insane pressure on Sony. Like, could you imagine if Microsoft released a game that's on the same quality level as like God of War or Horizon, and then like they're like, and you can access it for just $10 through our subscription? Like, the pressure that would put on Sony to be like, well, we're charging $70 for ours, You see what I'm saying? Like the only thing separating these two right now is just that right there. So we'll see, man. We'll see. I get what you're saying. Excuse me, about Starfield though. Austin, you're saying I was hyped for Hellblade 2 also, but after that gameplay reveal of her walking and running for 5 minutes, it turned me off. Dude, this is what I'm talking about when it comes to trying to give your honest opinion. Like, people assume that if I agree with you right now, it's because I'm just a radical, ridiculous clown PlayStation fanboy. It couldn't possibly be because I just actually wasn't very impressed by that gameplay. I wasn't that impressed by Hellblade's first gameplay reveal because I expected more. And I believe there is more, and that, they're going to show a lot more. I believe that, but I just couldn't. I was just surprised. It's like, it was creepy. It was dark. It was ominous. And I love that tone. That's one thing that really attracts me to Hellblade, is this really dark tone to it, which I think is awesome. But dude, no joke. Like, she legit was just running. It was basically an on-rails part of the game. And that's fine. That's fine. Like, games can have that. But I just don't know that that's the best first impression you want to give, in my opinion anyway. But, I'm excited to see more. And I hope I'm assuming we'll see more Hellblade this year. So, Also, again, I got to point it out. You want to talk about hypocrisy again? People want to point out my hypocrisy. I'm going to point out theirs. The amount of Xbox dudes that are like, all Sony makes is walking simulators. Like, okay, then why the fuck are you so excited for Hellblade 2? Boom. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. There you go. I think Hellblade 2 looks awesome. I mean, I'm not as impressed with the gameplay, but I think it looks awesome. I'm still very excited for it. New Soul 9, you're saying, hey, MBG, I think you already see it. Netflix and other subscription shows will always have good content and bad content. Yeah, I agree. I mean, look, I do think that any subscription service, like you said, it will have its fair share of good and bad, for sure. But, I just feel like the further we go into the future, the more rare it is to find like those brands or those companies, whatever it is, where they're more like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like boutique, I guess. I don't know what word to use, but they're just like, they stand out. You know what I'm saying? They stand out. And I feel like that's kind of where PlayStation is, and I don't want to see that just kind of wither away just because that's where everything's going. If that makes sense. Leo, Jimmy, you're saying MBG, Xbox admitted multiple times that they can't compete with Sony with their quality games, Last of Us 2 anyone, and that's just one game. I mean, dude, there's no doubt that Microsoft, I think they did the smart thing, man. They had to take notes from PlayStation. They literally had a team within Microsoft review The Last of Us 2 and basically report, I guess, to Phil Spencer or whoever there to basically say like, yeah, this is our review of the game and here's like what we noticed. And they basically, when it comes to The Last of Us 2, were like, yep, this is on a, this is this game's on another level that we're not quite at yet. So we should, we should try to get there. And I was like, well, I mean, dude, that's good. I think that's good. I'm glad that they're paying attention and taking notes. That hopefully they can take some good notes and make their games better. By the way, did anybody notice that Neil Druckmann was teasing The Last of Us Part 1? Did you guys see that? He was, well, I think he was talking with Tom Holland, and he was wearing a hat. And the hat, people were like freaking out about this hat. They're like, it says The Last of Us, and it was like really hard to see, but people were trying to determine at the bottom if it said Part 1 or Part 2. And after like extensive analysis, people have come to the conclusion after zooming into the max that it actually says Part 1. And I'm like, well, I mean, we are supposed to get a Last of Us PS5 remake, so, maybe that's his way of teasing it out. Also, Sony. I've been giving Sony a lot of credit right now, but I'm gonna have to be real. I'm gonna have to be real with Sony right now. For the love of all that is holy. All right, if there's anybody at Sony listening to this podcast, which I don't think there is, but please, for the love of all that is holy, do not make a Jack and Daxter movie, and definitely don't get Tom Holland to star in that Jack and Daxter movie. That's all I'm going to say. All right, that's all I'm going to say. And if you're going to censor anything, censor that. All right, Sony, censor that. Censor the shit that actually needs to be censored, because no one needs to see that atrocity. So I still maintain that Tom Holland eventually will play Kratos in the God of War movie. Eventually, all right? It's going to happen. Kendall Fire 22, you're saying Microsoft tried to make Sony-like games, and it's hard. They created the initiative, and it can't even get a game out the door without help, so they gave up. Man, I don't want to turn it into that, but we're on the topic and we talk about the quality aspect. We talk about the differences. It's true. It is true, dude. What you just said is true. And that's a fact. Like, it doesn't mean that that it's going to be bad for sure, but the struggle is real, man. That's all I'm trying to say. And that's what you're highlighting. And that's all I'm highlighting as well. The struggle is real. Space D, you're saying, let's be honest, only The Last of Us 2 and God of War 18 are the only super quality games from Sony. The rest are good quality, 80 to 90 games, and Xbox has plenty of those. Dude, I don't know, man. I can't agree. Like, I'm not trying to, like, I appreciate your comment and your super chat, Space D. And if that's your opinion, then that's cool, man. Like, that's a fair opinion. But I have to disagree with that, because when I think of games, when I think of games like Ghost of Tsushima, when I think of games like, Spider-Man, when I think of games, like Horizon, I don't see games on Xbox that are anywhere close to that, man. Like, again, that's not a fanboy statement. I just don't see them. And if these games exist, I don't know what they are, I mean, I guess, like, if somebody would say, well, Psychonauts 2 is really good, but it's like, yeah, I just don't know what game you would. I guess you could compare that to, like, Ratchet and Clank, and I guess that's a pretty fair comparison. I think that'd be a pretty fair comparison, but, like, yeah, I don't know, man. We'll see. This generation is going to be interesting. The conversations we're going to have towards the end of this generation are going to be fascinating. Rashdom V2, you're saying, bad take. Cheesefire L wasn't a Microsoft studio, so it's unfair to associate it with Game Pass or Microsoft Studios. Microsoft quality got better with Game Pass, but not there yet. Dude, that's a fair take, Rashdom. That's a fair take. I know I'm using Crossfire X to kind of really push back on, like, the toxic Xbox fans that constantly, come after me and whatnot. But what you said, I think is true. Like, I think it was a bad deal for, Microsoft. I think that's a deal they should have passed on. But you are right. It's not a first-party Microsoft studio, and it's not indicative whatsoever of the type of quality you're going to get from Microsoft-owned studios. So for as bad as it is, it's not like an Xbox Game Studios title, which is good. because my God, it would be really like, I'm pretty sure that if that was an internally made game, Phil would have canceled that. He would have canceled that, man. You know, like he would have been like, you know what, we can't put this out. So yeah. Nakamichi, you're saying, thank you, by the way. It's a very generous donation, $50. Thank you. That's awesome. You're saying, I think Sony should bring back their old first and third party IPs, games like Dino Crisis, Parasite Eve, and Drakengard trilogy. There are a lot of devs that Sony can talk to, like Valve, and have Half-Life games get ported to the PS4 and PS5. Yeah, I mean, you could definitely make an argument that at this point in time, Sony's best bet outside of making, you know, the acquisitions that they're making would be to bring back games like that. Because, dude, Dino Crisis, there are so many people who would love to see Dino Crisis return. Parasite Eve. I'm not too familiar with Parasite Eve or Drakengard trilogy, but, you know, you talk about talking to partners like Valve, you know, there were multiple rumors, I think, that Sony is going to get Half-Life Alyx onto PSVR 2, and that's good, man. Like I heard really good things about that game, and that'd be a good get for PSVR 2, and, you know, kind of like a show of strength of a partnership between Valve and Sony for sure. I think Valve needs to make Left 4 Dead 3. I know they won't, but that's a dream of mine. John O, you're saying Remedy learned from Platinum Games, take Microsoft money, make BS game, and take the money and make PS banger. LOL. Yeah, did you guys? I don't know if you guys saw, but I noticed that. Apparently I think it was the head of Platinum Games. They basically said that they want to have open conversations with Microsoft about going back and making Scalebound, and I'm like, that's really interesting. Scalebound had a ton of potential, so it would be cool if they could actually make that happen. I don't think Microsoft will, but come on, Microsoft, if they want to make Scalebound again, let them do it. It's better than getting stuff like Crossfire, That's all. John, you're saying, I swear MBG, none of these Xbox give an F about Crash before the Activision purchase. Now they love Crash. Dude, look, I mean, that's the thing. It really is when it's convenient, and it's too easy to partake in. And again, I don't like to play the role of I'm innocent here, because I'm not. I'm trying to do better and get away from it ultimately. But yeah, dude, you're right. Like, you're right. Just like I pointed out that how many people were on social media kind of shit talking Call of Duty and Battlefield before the Activision acquisition, basically saying, because Halo's better, to then just mere weeks later change their tune because Microsoft bought Activision and they were under the assumption that Call of Duty was going to be exclusive. And it's like, hell yeah, Call of Duty's awesome. I've always loved Call of Duty. I mean, come on. Saying we got to stop worrying about what other gamers think. I agree, man. I agree. But it's difficult when I'm having like 3-hour-long solo podcasts. It's difficult not to kind of, lean into some of these conversations sometimes. I always start the podcast thinking I'm never going to go off the rails. I'm not going to rant and this and that. And it's like, no, that's not how it goes ever. But I'm trying my best to a really important point that I think I made earlier is I'm not willing to talk anywhere near as confidently as I used to. And that's important. See, this is where I feel like I've grown as a person and as a content creator, where I used to talk very confidently about the future. Like, I know what's going to happen. Like, trust me, I got this locked in. Just to realize that I don't know shit, and I learned this the hard way when it's like every time I thought I was really like, I know what's going on, and then the rug would be pulled out from under me, and I'm like, whoa, and I get spun around. I'm like, I was completely wrong. So what I prefer to do at this point is I really only want to focus on the things confidently that we know, because that's just how it is. They're facts. They're already known. We know what's going on. But when it comes to the future stuff, I take it easy. This is why, like, I don't agree. I don't agree with people with these extreme stances of like, yo, Xbox sucks. and it'll always suck. And Game Pass will always suck, and Hellblade will suck, and Starfield will suck. Like, I don't agree. I do not agree. Now, if you want to say Crossfire X sucks, I agree. But this is why and that's why, like with Halo, I was careful with Halo, man. I dunked on Halo when we first saw it, because when we first saw it, it looked terrible. When we saw it later on, I was like, okay, all right, it's been a year. Let's see what they did. Let's test the waters. Let's see what people are saying. And it became clear that people were not as angry. And look, that's good. A lot of Halo fans were like, hey, this feels like a return to form. That's good. I've seen some people say it's not so great, but same thing with PlayStation, dude. I've been just as wrong about PlayStation as I've been about Xbox with many times. You know, the amount of times that I was like, oh, dude, if you would have asked me in like 2019, will Sony port their games to PC? I'd be like, no. Is Sony going to bring Days Gone to PC? I'd be like, are you crazy? No way they would do that. And then it turns out that, dude, you don't know what Sony's doing, man. Look at where they're at now. And that's why I'm more willing to be wrong about the crazy things. Like, for example, a lot of people on my last podcast were like, dude, you're telling me Sony's going to release their live service games onto Xbox? You're insane, bro. No way. I'm more willing to be wrong about that than I am sitting here saying there's no way in hell Sony will ever release a game on Xbox. Never going to happen. Because I don't feel confident about either, but I feel less confident about saying that. So, that's kind of where it's at this point. Basically, whatever I'm thinking, the opposite of that is likely to be the outcome. I mean, it's not always the case, but man, that does seem to happen. And it's weird when it does. Okay, so Himinashu Yadav, I don't know if I said your name correctly, buddy. Sorry if I butchered it. Saying MBGA just got a new PC with an RTX 3080 Ti and got Game Pass. And honestly, I like it. It's cheap and I can play games that I am usually hesitant about buying. Well, I will say this. It is weird that I do talk about Game Pass a lot and I do talk about Xbox pretty frequently, which bothers people. But I will say that at the end of the day, if you are capable of having a PlayStation 5 and also subscribing to Game Pass, whether that's on PC or through an Xbox, then there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. My problem, dude, I have a friend, all right? I have a real life friend who he is subscribed to Game Pass. He bought an Xbox, he subscribed to Game Pass, and he like brags about it all the time. And he teases me about it sometimes, which is fun. But in all seriousness, he's like, yeah, dude, I just really like it because it saves me money. It just saves me money. And I'm like, dude, that's a great reason to like, that's a normal thing is what I'm saying. Like, I don't expect most people to be like me. I know that I'm kind of a bit on the extreme side, but I totally get that. And it's not like I'm sitting there turning around and be like, bro, Game Pass sucks. What are you doing? Like go unsubscribe from that and stop saving money and go play PlayStation. No. But it's just if you were to ask me why I don't subscribe to Game Pass or why I, am paying like $60 or $70 for these games, I'll tell them why, and I'll tell them that I don't see that on Game Pass. That's all, So there's nothing wrong with it. Probably have to end this podcast soon. 47, a member for 25 months. Thank you so much, dude. That's over 2 years. You're saying the Decima engine has been further optimized since Horizon Zero Dawn, and the memory allocation issue has been improved to making flying possible, from what I've heard. That's actually super interesting if true, and that would make a lot of sense because we know that Guerrilla, as well as Kojima Productions, have done a lot of work on the Decima engine. So that actually makes complete sense. That's awesome. Thank you for that. Leo Jimmy, you're saying PS5 is about to become Ultra Instinct by the end of the year while Xbox is still trying to become Super Saiyan. Magnum Visual says everything you throw in UE5 will look realistic, so it's no surprise Hellblade 2 looks the way it does. I don't get what the hype is as far as ammo. Let me see. Devilac47 says no excuse. Hellblade 2 is the reveal game for the Xbox Series X, and we're just now seeing gameplay of it. Ridiculous. I agree. I actually agree with that. This is where like I'm not I mean It's okay for games to be revealed early, but I feel like if you're going to reveal a game early alongside a console, yeah, it's got to come out. It can't come out 4 years later. I hate that shit. I know people talk about like Wolverine, but it's like, dude, come on. You know, Wolverine was revealed after we already got a bunch of games and saw a bunch of games revealed that are coming out soon. You know, I think that's okay. Like to later in the generation or like a year into the or two into the generation, you want to show a game that's like kind of far away, that's fine. But I was pretty surprised when I heard like last year that Hellblade 2 is still in pre-production. I was like, what? Like they revealed that alongside the console. I thought that would have been out sooner. It's okay though. As long as it turns out good, it's fine. They can take as long as they want. Brett, you're saying, do you think Sony would ever acquire a PC launcher like Steam for day and date releases? I feel like that would be a great move for Sony down the road. No, I don't think they would do something like that, dude. I think what's much more likely is they would create their own PlayStation launcher on PC. I think that's the most likely scenario. My son is going berserk out there. He is cranky as hell. So apologies if any loud shrieks come through the mic. Salvazard06, you're saying Starfield hype comes from Sony wanting exclusivity because we haven't seen shit but CGI trailer. Think about that. Last of Us Part 0 plays Joel and Tommy surviving for the 20-year skip from Part 1. That would be awesome. I would love to see that. That would be sick. iSiler18, you're saying, I'm not convinced of this Last of Us remake leaning towards a director's cut type deal. Also, where's my Last of Us 2 director's cut? It's been 2 years. I think they're going to release maybe both as a package, possibly. I don't know. You know, Last of Us 1 and 2 bundle. Last of Us Part 1 and Part 2 bundle. Maybe. New Soul 9, you're saying MBG you already see with Hellblade 2 is in the same quality, being in same quality on Sony games. And it's dropping on Game Pass day one, so that's no longer debatable after seeing Hellblade 2 gameplay. No, I mean, look, New Soul 9, I think it is debatable because we need to see more of Hellblade 2, and I am expecting Hellblade 2 to impress. Don't get me wrong, I'm not rooting against Hellblade 2. I'm expecting it to impress. I wasn't particularly impressed with the first gameplay showing, and I get what you're saying, but to say it's not debatable or that it's no longer debatable, I think I disagree with that. It is still debatable. When it drops and we see the full package and we get the full scope of what it is, you know, or even when we get closer to launch and we've seen a lot of it, then we can, you know, until then, we can definitely debate. Zanarkand Blitzer, MBG, don't forget the MGS1 remake topic. Oh, God. Oh, God. Okay, I'll try not to. Kendallfire22, you're saying, could you picture a universe where Sony buys Valve? They have around $10 billion in private equity and would give Sony the keys to PC. It would be crazy. It would be crazy, but come on. That's not going to happen. Sony's not going to buy Valve. It's not going to happen. Question mark. When do you think Xbox is going to ditch the console, focus on Xbox Game Pass? Because it's looking like they are, even though Phil Spencer said they're not. I don't know, man. Like, the thing is, I don't want to make a prediction like that because, again, that's like, when will Xbox stop making consoles? I don't know, dude. I mean, I think it's a possibility that if in the future, if they hit a certain... I don't think they will. I'm going to be honest. I don't think Microsoft will stop making consoles because the console can always be useful for Game Pass. It can be seen as a vehicle for Game Pass. You know what I'm saying? So I know that everybody's always like, consoles will eventually be irrelevant and nobody will buy them, but I see Microsoft and Sony always seeing some type of value in a console, even if they don't sell many. I firmly believe that. KD, you're saying, bro, every Bethesda RPG is a walking simulator. All right, let me get to this MGS1 topic because I do have to wrap this up in a couple minutes. Hit that like button for me, guys. We crushed 800 likes. You guys are awesome. Thank you for that. Maybe we can get to 850. But so there was this leak. I made a dedicated video on it, and if you want to check it out, feel free to check it out. But it was pretty much a leaker. We have no clue if this is a real leaker or not. Could be a guy just clowning us and making shit up. But we have seen in the past that occasionally people with inside information, like people who are close to something, they take to these forums, they write up these posts, and they don't reveal anything about their identity. They just put the information out there. And then we find out later on it was true. It's rare, but it does happen on occasion. So essentially what's happening based off this leak is Sony is actually, like, the Metal Gear Solid remake, Metal Gear Solid 1 remake is real. But the reason why it's taking so long, and this is my assumption, the reason why it's like been rumored for so long and we haven't seen or heard anything is because it's not just going to be a PS5 game. It will be a playable PS5 game, but it's also going to be a PlayStation VR 2 game. Now, the leaker also claims that Bluepoint was working on it, but then the game was handed off to another studio. This is fascinating to me because there have been persistent rumors of Bluepoint working on Metal Gear Solid to then just hear that they're not. Like, then we don't hear anything. Now we hear they're working on Bloodborne 2 or something, and a Bloodborne remake. And I think, maybe there is truth to this because that would make sense. Bluepoint doesn't work on VR. Bluepoint does the remaking. So that maybe they remake the game and then they hand the game off over to a studio to do the VR part. But here's to me, this is the big red flag. How would this work? And this is this is the final topic of the podcast. And I want to see what my chat has to say. How would this work? If you think about Metal Gear Solid 1, it's a third-person game where you can go into first person when you're shooting. If you were to, I don't see people being excited about a VR game that's not in first person. Well, then again, I don't know. Let me ask you this, because I don't have much experience with VR. Wasn't one of the most popular and well-regarded or well-received VR games Astrobot? And wasn't that third person? I need to know, because I just don't know how they would, I don't know how they would make it work, but I think it's possible. There you go. Yeah, Astrobot Rescue Mission wasn't first person. So maybe they could make this work, man. Maybe they could make this work, because a lot of people were saying it would be weird playing a meta, but you have to also imagine the camera angles won't be the same if it's a remake. Moss as well. There we go. Yeah, Moss. So to me, it sounds plausible and certainly possible. But I don't know. This leak was basically explaining that this game. Hold on 1 second. Sorry, I got distracted. The leak was saying with this game that Sony is positioning this Metal Gear Solid remake as like the next step in VR for them. And I'm going to be honest, like, this is where it's like, this makes too much sense. Like, I know it sounds too good to be true, and there's a lot of people who are like, it's bullshit. And I'm maintaining, I think it's too good to be true, but again, I'll allow myself to dream a little bit. But it does make too much sense where it's like, well, Sony is obviously going to be very serious about VR 2. They absolutely want it to be more successful than VR 1. How do they do it? I think that this is like, that's a great fucking idea. You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to try to get people super excited about your headset, imagine, hey, not only is the Metal Gear remake that's been rumored forever actually real, not only was it actually developed by Bluepoint, but it's also, sorry, I just hit my mic. It can also be played as a native PlayStation VR 2 game, and it's been developed to completely accommodate PSVR 2. Or you could just play it on your PS5. I mean, that sounds amazing to me, but it also sounds a little too good to be true. Does Konami own the Metal Gear IP? They do. So that means Sony would have to have a partnership with Konami. But yeah, we'll have to see if that ends up being a real thing or not, guys. I will say this. The good news is we will have our answers to whether or not this is a true leak relatively soon, because between now and June, if PlayStation VR 2 is launching this year, between now and June, we will have it announced alongside the announcement of VR, because the leaker said it would release this year. So we'll see. I'm going to dream. I don't think it's real. I still think it's just a dream, but you never know. Maybe that's what Hassan's been working on this whole time. I don't know. All right, guys. All right. No Haven talk. You know what? Yeah, there's a bunch of shit I didn't talk about in this podcast that I wanted to. I wanted to talk about RE4 Remake. I wanted to talk about Haven. So I'll have to alter the title. I do apologize, guys. You see, this is why I get annoyed with myself sometimes when I go on these rants, because I go on, and I literally miss out on topics. I can't go longer because I do have something I have to do today. So I do apologize. I will try to make up for it next week. I'll try to add it in. If depending, you're saying leave it for next week. Yeah, I will. We'll have to see what happens, because if a bunch of crazy stuff happens this upcoming week with Horizon and whatnot, then maybe I won't be able to, but if it's slow, then it'll be a good thing. I can save these topics. So, but guys, that does it for episode 96 of the podcast. Dude, I'm beat. I'm absolutely beat. I did not expect to, a happy Super Bowl Sunday. I hope you guys enjoy watching the Super Bowl if you're planning to. I just want to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. So a big shout out to Devil Shooter and a shout out to my members. I'm going to read their names now. Big shout out to Junior Jackson, Josh Z, Agile Ice 24, Skin Tight Salmon, PlayStation Pete, RU46 N2 Ray, Icyler 18, Whiskey Gaming, Chlorian A, Crispy, Hidden Leaf Tutaka, Morgan Anstein, Nakamichi, Rune Gasoden, Black Waifus, Ryan Butcher, John Renzi, Zanarkan Blitzer, Space Gambler Jr., AJ Saeed, JD TV, Sir Speaks a Lot, A Shorty Faye, Big Norman 0518, Shaky Shako, Tyson Webb 509, Black Manta 1989, Sane JT, Brandon Chad Perez, Adrian Lupton, Introvert Gaming Dude, and Kevin Kihan. Thank you guys so much for the direct support you show the channel on a weekly basis. Really appreciate it. And a big shout out to everybody who took time to view the podcast. And those of you who will watch later, big shout out to Devil Shooter for doing the timestamps every week for the podcast to help out the community. So if you happen to see him in the comments, definitely give him a big thanks for doing that. And yeah, that's episode 96 in the books. So before I head out, I'm going to ask one more time, guys, do me one big favor and hit that like button. We're actually just about at 850 likes. Let's see if we can push it to 900. Really appreciate it. Helps get the podcast in front of more new viewers. So, all right, guys. Tomorrow, the Horizon Forbidden West review embargo is up. So we will certainly have something to talk about tomorrow. And who knows what else we'll have to talk about for the remainder of the week. But I'm hoping we'll have a lot to discuss. So, yeah. All right, guys, that does it. I'm heading out now. Until next time, take care.